So yeah, you come downstairs, and you see that the rest of the group has returned this morning, and they're probably still wearing their traveling clothes, so you know that they probably just arrived. The rest of you, what you know is you have about a week until the tournament starts, and then you have a 2-week period where the tournament is running, and then the Silver Shoal is what you need to attend to. So what do you want to do this initial week, just waiting for the tournament to start? Is there anything you guys want to do specifically?
Go fuck shit up.
That's always an option. Both in terms of fucking people up and like harming them, but also just screwing up and harming yourself. Both are options.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And often happen at the same time.
Sometimes unwittingly.
Yeah.
Does anybody want to join the tournament that we know?
Okay, what is a tournament supposed to be actually about?
So
what is it?
So Reb, you would know this information, and you can ask around as well. Let me scroll down in my notes to find the various categories. Blah blah blah. Tournament. There we are. So basically, Reb, roll a history check just for fun.
Echo.
Because there's some extra information here.
I'm still used to saying that.
But so basically, what happens is there's a opening ceremony, and then there's various categories of competition. Archery is just an archery contest, obviously. There's a duel, which is fighting with typically a sword, but without armor. Or I'm sorry, that's opposite. So duel is you can fight in armor with any melee weapons or ranged weapons you would like. Fencing is you fight with some type of sword, but without armor. And then there's a joust, which is just fighting on horseback with a lance. The one thing to note, though, is it's not like jousting how you might think of it as a sport. Basically, two horses ride at each other with a lance, and they do make passes, but there's not like a stop and go type of a situation. They just keep fighting until one of them is downed. And if three, you can basically have your squire or whatever like attendant you have with you. If you break a lance, a squire can run up and give you another lance up to 3 times. Once all of your lances are broken, you have to go to a sidearm. So there are jousts that end in like people riding at each other on horseback with a sword and just kind of bashing each other until one of them falls off or is knocked unconscious. And then there's a melee, which is, there's 2 categories of melee. There's a formation melee where you basically sign up with a squad, which is up to 16 people, I want to say. Let me find it. That's between 8 and 16 that fight as a team against another formation of 8 to 16. And then there's a free-for-all, which is any number of entrants, but you're fighting just by yourself against everyone else. And in both of those, basically, you can wear whatever armor you would like and whatever weapons you would like.
Wow.
So those are the categories.
And you're saying no actual death happens here, just kind of take him out.
So that's the thing.
Okay, on purpose.
Yeah, Reb knows that one of the functions of tournaments is to redistribute wealth. So when you defeat somebody, basically they're captured by you, and to be released, the squire of the captured knight pays you, and you release them. Mm-hmm. So basically it's used as a way to like redistribute wealth to the strong lords before wartime. So it's bad form to just murder people generally, because like you're fighting with your countrymen who shortly after the tournament are probably going to war. So you don't want to like injure people or kill them, but it does happen. So like people often will fight with, except for in the fencing, they'll fight with blunted weapons. just to avoid like killing people. But there are instances of people dying, falling off the horse, breaking their neck or something. So it's not like you won't be prosecuted for murdering somebody because you're fighting them. But it is seen as like bad manners to just go in and murder people. You might make some enemies that way. So that's the answer. Maybe don't kill people, but if you really want to, you can.
And I'm assuming no obvious magic.
Yeah, and that was one of the other things is like... The Order isn't technically like present because they see it as like an evil act to engage in battle for no reason. Like, that's not sanctioned by the church. So like the church people generally aren't at these tournaments. But the people that do fight often aren't like using magic. They're often just warriors. So you imagine that like the city is kind of paranoid about witchcraft as like an evil thing. So there might be some people that get mad about somebody going out there and casting magic missile and stuff. So yeah, the mages are kind of out of the running unless they want to pick up a sword. You do.
Can I sign Rev up for the duel? Is the one-on-one, correct?
Yeah, duel is one-on-one with any equipment you would like.
Yes.
Okay, let me write that down.
Oh wait, hold on.
Duel rep.
How much is the capture fee usually?
It's negotiated between the squire and you and the lord you beat. So it's something that's negotiated.
General?
Yeah, well, with your 7, you don't know. And you also don't have a squire, so you really don't know. If you know any nobles, you could ask, but I don't think you...
I anoint Remy as my squire.
Okay.
She's noble enough. Wait, no, she can't do that. She's part of the order. Damn.
Tombe. Not currently here.
Oh,
who knows a noble?
At some point through this week, Balthazar shows back up. Echo, this is the guy with the eye patch that's terrified of undead. He shows back up at the tavern and sees Clint and is like, hold on. You people just returned from the dead and then nobody tells me? You just let me walk in here and see 3 people alive that I thought were dead? And he like gets down and gives Clint a little hug.
I thought you didn't like undead, so I thought you'd be scared.
He just says, I'll be by later if you have more work for me. He gets a drink and then leaves shortly after.
Does he take the drink with him? Is that legal? Is this like Vegas?
He probably chugs it and then leaves.
It's probably like, what the fuck, these guys again?
Somebody just returned from the dead. Okay, I guess we're just doing this now. This is just normal.
You should know that.
Kill some people.
So again, like everybody else can come and spectate basically, and there's a small entry fee that you pay to the crown. I think it's 50 gold, as far as I remember. Yeah, it's 50. So Rab, you can pay 50 gold per category basically. So if you want the duel, it's just 50 gold.
Okay, not the archery, there's duel, not the fencing, and then the rest are...
Jousting.
Oh, there's the
melees.
jousting and pretty much all the melees.
Okay, so you do that. So that's that.
Would a blunted scythe be possible?
Yeah, I mean, it'll just be a D10. So like their long swords are still gonna deal a D8. So yeah, it'll just be a D10. Still slashing even. Not even bludgeoning. It's just, if you want to actually kill someone, let me know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when you do the killing shot that drops them to 0, specify that you want it to be lethal. So I'll assume it's non-lethal until otherwise told. So Echo, during weeks of downtime like this, again, you can just give me, like, the idea of a task you want to perform, and we can try to resolve that via the rules. One of the good ones for wizards is if you do research and you have like a source of information, you can research like arcane topics. So if you were to go upstairs and research in Remy's library, you could learn a spell at random if you roll high enough.
Okay.
So if that's...
Can I do that?
Yeah, you can do that. Let me open up the rules for that. As long as Remy is okay with that. Remy, are you okay with that?
Yeah, that should be fine.
Do you want to charge
You
her
should,
anything?
You know what you need to do though, Echo? You need to butter up a little bit.
Is there a spell
Butter
that
up?
you can create butter with? I guess the grease spell does that.
That would work.
It's not technically
Create food
butter.
and water. There's just butter.
Yeah,
Just
create food
oh,
with-
who was it was Esteban, right? Our not R anymore, but the cook. I bet in his like magic pouches and stuff, he had like some good spiced butter.
Yeah, that could be. Okay, so research. Generally, these, like, if you were to go to another source, like Eno's library is a place to research all the time. In the rulebook, there's a gold cost associated with this, so basically, like, players are spending their resources. But because she has the library, you can use that for free, basically, as long as she doesn't charge you.
I mean, you could certainly talk me into it probably fairly easily. I would like to know what you'd have to say to persuade me, though.
I'm not a very persuasive person in this.
Do your best.
I don't know.
Have we even shown you the forepack yet?
Yeah, I think you've walked up
Okay.
there, so you probably glanced at the library through an open doorway.
I just sneak up there.
She sneaks up. So, Remy,
Oh, what
you
the
find
goodness.
one day, you come into your room, and Echo is there reading books.
What are you doing in here?
You're reading the library. Education purposes.
You just let yourself into my room to use my library?
Clinton, the hallway, says, well, we haven't gone for a week. She's probably been in here
Where's our security?
for a long time.
She's eating
I mean,
the
like,
bananas up there.
You could have asked.
Clint's like, we weren't here. Who would have she asked?
Well, there's other people that are.
Aova probably just told her, yeah, who fucking cares?
They let me
True
in.
facts.
They let me in.
Yeah, Aova might have even pointed it out to her.
I don't care. Go for it. Just don't use any of that shit against me.
So the way this works, Lindsay, is you roll an intelligence check. And if you spend gold, you can increase the check higher to learn more things. But if you roll high enough, it actually doesn't matter. So are you in Roll20 on your character sheet, or are you using the PDFs I sent you?
My character sheet.
Okay, so if you click on intelligence, I think it should roll that for you. Like if you click on the word intelligence in the Roll20 one at least. It should be on the left side of it. There we go. So 20 is pretty good. If you wanted to spend gold, a +1. I let you.
The word. Okay.
Yeah, so I let you decide this after you roll. So you rolled really high already, so you're already going to learn quite a lot of things. But if you want to get even higher and learn more things, you could spend gold. 100 gold is a +1.
I know.
Okay, so 20 is it, and you learn 2. So you find 2 spells over this time. And they're going to be conjuration spells of your choice. So let me get a list going and describe them to you. And they can be either of 2nd level or 1st level. Or I guess a cantrip, really. Conjuration. Okay, so what do you already know? So of the options, and so you found these spells, but now you additionally need to spend gold to basically practice them until you learn them. but it is reduced cost because you're a conjuration-focused wizard. So,
I am.
so a lot of options here. Actually, let me just put these. I'll put these in the chat just so you can have them instead of relying on me talking. Acid splash. So you splash people with acid. Create bonfire. Create bonfire basically conjures flames in an area, and it stays there for a while. So you could like create a bonfire in a doorway, and then everything that moves through the doorway would take fire damage.
Gotcha.
Infestation conjures bugs that like attack a target, and they take some poison damage. They also jump in a random direction as like a result of like swiping the bugs off them, so they might like hop off a cliff if you roll good. Mage hand, you already have that. Mage hand, you conjure a little hand, and it can do like telekinesis. Basically, you can move things at a distance. I think it can only lift up to 10 pounds, so it can't lift really heavy things, but it can lift light things. Poison spray, you already have. Sword burst, it blasts magical energy around you, so everything within 5 feet might take some damage. So those are the cantrips. So these spells, if you learn this one, which this one is going to be the most expensive of the options I give you, but they're cantrips, so you can use them a limited number of times a day. What was I going to say? But like I said, they're going to be the more expensive of the options.
You want all of those ones?
Yeah, so you can learn 2 out of this, and there's more. So find familiar, you have. Fog cloud, you don't have. So these are the first level spells that you could learn. Fog cloud, you conjure a fog cloud in an area that obscures vision. Grease is the spell I was talking about. It basically like creates a grease slick on the ground, so people that run through it might trip and fall. That could be butter if you prefer. Tensor's floating disc. It creates a small disc that can lift heavy things, and I think you can move it at slow paces. So basically you can lift things off the ground and kind of move them around at a very slow pace. And Unseen Servant you already have. So these are the first level spells. And then the second level spells are Cloud of Daggers. So this one you create in a space swirling daggers, and they stay there, so if somebody moves through that space, like again if you put it in a doorway or something, they take damage from the daggers. Dust Devil, you create like a small tornado that I think can move people around. I'm not sure if it does any damage. It might, but it also can kind of throw people around. Flaming Sphere, you create a sphere of fire that you can move around, and if it hits people, they can take damage. There's more. Misty Step, you already know.
Catch things on fire?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the last one is Web, and that just creates a web that kind of explodes and can like restrain people. So you can learn 2 out of this big list.
And I have how much money still?
Let me check. It was on the most recent character sheet I sent you. I think you had like 100 or no, you had 80 something, didn't you? 80 pieces of gold. Now, if you were to convince some of the other party members that maybe they would benefit from you having these spells, Remy is someone that can also learn spells, so if you were to maybe show her the books you found, she might be willing to share some gold. So basically, if you don't show Remy these spells, she doesn't get access to these until she researches as well. Or unless she finds them somewhere else, she kills a wizard and takes their spell book, basically. So if you were to maybe suggest to Morgan that she pay you a little bit for finding these spells in her library, she might cover some.
Hey, Remy!
Morgan, you're... yeah, she...
Again.
What's up?
She said, what's up?
Have you seen this book?
So Echo shows you a book that has a spell in it, and she wants gold to basically show you the spells she found.
Which am I seeing?
She hasn't chosen yet, but she got a list of conjuration spells. If you look in Roll20 chat, you can see them.
Right, hold on.
And basically, she's choosing 2 from the list.
Y'all make it really difficult for me to do dishes during D&D now.
Yeah, maybe just do your housework at like something else.
Nah.
Okay. I see Morgan and a beer.
That's usual.
First chunk is cantrip. Second chunk is first level spells.
There's first levels, and then there's also second levels. So, Fog Cloud to Tensor's Floating Disc is a first level group, and Cloud of Daggers on is second level.
Okay. And it's 50 gold pieces per level?
Yeah, so for her it's 25, because she's a Conjuration Wizard. For you, it's 50. So she actually, in a weird way, Echo is you chose Conjuration, and you found the one Conjuration library that these people have run into.
So how much would she need for it?
Well, it depends on what she chooses. Do you have a preference there, Lindsay? What you're gonna choose?
He likes Flaming Sphere and Web.
So Flaming Sphere and Web is the one she likes. So that would be 50 gold apiece for her. So 100 gold total. And it'd be 2
I have.
of 80. Yeah. I guess we can put that in if you prefer to use the Roll20 character sheet. We can actually put that in here. 80 gold.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and mark that book and what spell she found in there, and I'll give her 50 gold for it.
Okay, so you made 50 gold. Math. So you're at 130. Is that enough for you to allow her to mark your spells in those books? Lindsay? Do you accept the 50 gold offer?
Yeah.
Okay. So then, so they're, what did I say? 25 gold a level. So it's 50 and 50. So you would be down to 30 gold left if you learn those 2 spells. Is that coolio? Is that what you want to do?
Sure. Yeah.
So 30 gold.
Okay, I'm broke now.
Wizards are always broke because this is all they spend their money on. So I'll add those 2 spells in here. Flaming Sphere, Conjuration, and what was the other one? Web? That was it.
Yeah.
Okay. So and then you can again bubble in 6 spells total to prepare for the day, basically.
Can I choose one of those 2?
Yeah, now you can, yeah, because you spent the time and the gold required to learn them.
Watch it.
And then, so Reb and Remy, you have a week of downtime, unless there's anything specific you want to do. Thoughts, James? Because Morgan's doing
Amish
dishes.
I want to make Amish butter.
That's unfortunately not one of the options. Although, is cooking an option?
I think it is, like in Xanathar's maybe.
There's like crafting items, but butter is not one of the typical items to craft. Is it even on the...
You know, I'm really bad at doing downtime because there's like nothing to down.
Yeah. Well, you had books now. There was research you wanted to do. You also had research at Enos that you wanted to do. Or basically, he was doing research for you, but...
Yeah, he was doing the research.
Yeah, there's just a week to spend doing something.
Is there any way to get to learn another spell or to gain another spell slot? Would you ever let that happen?
Maybe like as an Eldritch invocation. I considered that. Not as like a... Like, I mean, you can train to gain a level. If that's what you want to do. You can gain some experience. You'd have to...
What would...
I don't know, you'd have to tell me what training is. How are you training?
Trying to grade my mental capacity by reading the spell books and how the spells are done.
I guess you kind of have access to a trainer because Sycorax is like in your mind.
I like that.
Just mark off 25 gold.
I ask her about her favorite ones to do, you know.
Oh, we forgot complications. So,
on life.
Echo, roll a D100.
Hold on, wait.
And the range that you're trying to avoid is 40 to 50. Okay, so nothing bad happened to you while you're researching. James, spend 25 gold, and then roll a charisma check. It's not a good face.
14.
Okay. Let's see here. And then roll a D100.
I don't have odds for the good D100.
10 to 20 is the complication range.
7, so it'll be in the 70s.
Okay.
Do you want me to roll the other number, or?
No, that's fine. So nothing bad happens to you. You read some of the books that you had sectioned off from Remy's library. You feel a little bit like you're understanding conjuration as a magic a little more. Basically like pulling energy and matter from the elemental planes and things. But you're wondering what was in that extra book that Sycorax had snuck into your stack.
I was about to ask,
and
actually,
Eno took that and whisked it off, and it hasn't shown back up. As far as the books in his library, they're all bound in the same black leather binding. So it's very obvious that that one is not in the library when you've spent time in there.
I'd like to grill Sycorax again, though.
Okay. Roll. What do you say to her? What tact do you
Like,
seek?
after a few more days or whatever, she's like, hey, tell me, what the hell was in that book that Eno's so interested in?
Okay,
What was the book?
Roll a persuasion check.
That should be good. 22.
So she kind of sighs, and then says, well, since you fucking gave it away, it's a book for summoning various abyssal creatures. It has names of demons in it, and it's quite a famous, recognizable book. There's only 3 copies of it are known to exist, and most of the time when a mortal gets their hands on it, they end up summoning something that kills them and everything around them.
Oh!
And Sycorax says, by names I mean true names. of some lower end fiends. So nothing.
Is yours in
nothing
there?
True. She says, I don't think so, but nobody really knows. I've never been summoned by someone with a copy, but I can't necessarily be assured that my name isn't in there. She says aliases will also be in there, so there are some more powerful fiends that are named by alias, which means they can be summoned, but just that the summoner doesn't have that extra level of power over them. They're gonna have to play by the rules of the summoning.
What if somebody tries to summon you right now? How would that work?
She says, well, since I don't have a corporeal body, it might just summon the armor away from you. I haven't been summoned often.
When was the last time you got summoned?
Well, before I was in armor.
Oh yeah, but how'd that work? What happened?
I got summoned, and they put me in armor.
Oh. That sucked. Who did that?
Some group of names, I don't remember names. Some clergymen.
How long ago was that?
A few centuries, maybe.
Would you recognize their emblem if we ever saw it?
She says, yeah, maybe. I mean, they were from the east, the eastern continent. They were elves.
All right.
Okay,
we'll work on that. I like that idea.
Morgan, any downtime you want to do? You did spend a favor, so you could do religious service.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll do some religious work.
Okay, religious work. Who do you want to take with you? You want to take anybody with you?
Reb, you're preoccupied, right?
I mean, Reb can still go. She was just basically fucking around with Sycorax, who is always with her, so she could go.
Reb, would you like to go?
Around. Sure, fucking around. The good outfit, not the bad outfit.
Echo, do you want to go with him as well? You just see basically, like, in the morning, one morning, Remy and Reb are headed out, and they're kind of, like, extra spiffed up. And Reb is probably kind of probably extra annoyed, and Remy is kind of extra peppy in a noticeable fashion.
What does this do?
So basically, Morgan Remy goes around and does religious work of some kind, and you guys just kind of act as bodyguards during that process because she's kind of a rising religious figure in the city. So you basically act as bodyguards, but she just does like basic religious charity. She'll work in a church or go around handing out charity. So she has Sunday best on, basically. They're clearly not going out to fight anything, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Stay put?
How about no?
Okay.
Charity.
So, you guys head out. Remy, today, what you end up doing is Mary sends you into Old Town with a group of priests, and you guys are handing out charity. So you've turned donations basically into paying for food and drink. And so you're handing out water, you're doing blessings, and handing out bread to people in Old Town. So actually, let me go over here. So, you guys are seeing a city map now, yeah? Mm-hmm. Okay. So Mary's, I guess the Westwood is here, in the warehouse district. Reb and Remy, you head over to Mary's church, which is along the wall and the other side of town. And then she sends you into Old Town to Carnal is the sea. So she sends you into Old Town. You guys get through the wall fine because you're priesthood. And so the streets here are the buildings are really tight. So a lot of really small streets, kind of winding. There's varied elevations through here. So you're kind of up hills and down hills all the time. Let me roll a persuasion check.
15 plus 6.
So you earned 2 favors, but you can hold a number of favors equal to 1 plus your charisma mod. So I know you had 2 already, right?
I have 3 right now, so I'd just be back to 4.
Okay, yeah. So if
unless I spend 1 to try and or spend some of those.
Yeah, I mean, so you had time before now that you could have spent 1. You could get material components ahead of time for half cost. So rather than retconning it in later, you could buy some diamonds ahead of time if you wanted to. What are the other options?
Bling, bling.
I think I have like 3 diamonds right now. I don't know if I need more diamonds at the moment.
You can request like Archbishop Mary's assistance in some way.
Snap! I forgot to mention. We are the Rampaging Idiot Pack, and we were playing fucking D&D. Tries to mute me with the music, just turns it up and drops me out.
I can't remember any of my music here.
If I were to gain, what is it? Gain higher statuses, would I still be able to go and leave on adventures and shit?
No, so that's what we talked about last time. If you get a higher rank in the church, you end up basically having a job that you would be having to like maintain. That's why Mary kept you at the level you were at, because you can kind of come and go. You're basically acting as like an assistant to her, so keeping you at that rank allowed you to leave on a dime.
Can I use the favors to gain more fame?
Sure. Yeah. So we could. So I have a table of basically like faction status. Let me find it. And Remy is one of those factions. So basically, you could use your favor to pay charity to one of these other factions, and basically they would start to like you a little bit more. The options are the Anvil, which is a group of blacksmiths, Gate Point, which is the civil war happening at the moment, though it's not technically a war yet, but Nordar, you can't really pay charity to Nordar because they're another nation. So there's the order itself, and there's basically a split down the middle where some people think you're a witch and some people think you're a miracle worker. So you could shift one of those groups in a direction.
I would like to shift more into my favor.
Okay. The other options, though, before we do that, is the Conflagration, the Vestran Army, the Vestran Guard, the Knights of Vestran, both sets of Rangers, the local nobility, and the royal family. And then also the serfs, so just like the common folk.
Oh. Can I get noblemen and royalty in my favor, thinking I'm a...
You can if you tell me how you're... so you can... For one favor, I'll let you shift it like +1 status level. So like, for instance, the Vestran nobility is kind of indifferent to you at this point, because they don't really know anything about you. So you could shift that for one favor. I would let you shift that 1 stage up, but also you're gonna have to describe to me how you accomplish that.
Are there any noblemen that are religious?
Yeah, I mean, so it's kind of it's a mixed bag. You could roll an insight check.
Are there any noblemen who are sick?
Sick? Maybe.
Ill.
It's possible.
Yeah.
18.
18. So, what you glean is that the royal family is heavily religious and is really connected to the Grand Bishop, who's like the Pope. So he's like the Grand Bishop is basically an advisor. So the royal family is very heavily religious, and as the nobility gets further away from the royal family, they become less so. But the nobility that's very so it's kind of a mixed bag in the nobility. The higher up nobility is probably fairly religious, at least to the extent that they like attend church and things. Whether they like actually believe in this stuff and like follow it in their personal life is kind of up in the air. But as far as like outward appearance, it seems like the high up nobility, yeah, very religious, and then less so as you get further down the nobility. And closer, when you get closer to like the knights and warriors of the nobility, they're the least religious.
Well, I love that cat.
Kitty, kitty.
I love that cat.
Mikhail.
Kyle. Billy.
Kyle.
Kyle.
Welcome back. Okay, bye, Mikhail.
Where's Cupcake?
Oh,
Ooh, tell that
be a little
bitch I
brat
missed
somewhere.
So I kind of want to do like so in regular religious services, there's people of all walks of life. So
Yeah, like so the general
pick out the
religious.
people that are wealthier and
Sure. So like this this specific religious service, you're going to be doing charity in Old Town to the serfs. But outside of that, like if you're spending the favor, I will just wrap that into this downtime. So during this week, you're attending like high profile church services at the cathedral, and maybe schmoozing with some nobility would be an option.
Yeah, just networking with them, kind of making nice.
Okay, so one favor is being spent to shift the nobility up one stage, yeah?
Yes.
So they are now motivated, so they will be motivated to help you if the need arises.
And then I'm also gaining 2 favors from the charity work, right? So I'm back up to 4.
Yes.
Can I spend 2 more favors to gain more points in the nobility aspect? Another week of downtime?
I will let you spend 1 favor a week.
Okay.
So if we do downtime like this next 2 weeks during the tournament, if you're not engaging in the tournament, you're probably going to be doing downtime. You could be doing that during the tournament itself, because there's going to be nobility there. There won't be order people there, so you would have to go outside the tournament to do like any order work. But
I will just, I don't know if I want to attend the tournament or not, because on the one hand, because Rep's participating, right?
yes.
Is there a way that I can only attend when Reb is actually...
Sure. Yeah, there's like scheduled times for each category.
Yeah, so the only time I would want to go is to support Reb, otherwise I have no interest in the tournament.
Okay, and then,
Remy...
did we roll the D100 for her yet?
For me?
Yeah.
Not yet.
Roll D100,
So
70
Morgan-
to 80 is the range.
Reb's gonna go kind of incognito, just the full black armor getup, and doesn't want to, you know how she doesn't want to be linked to you when she does these sort of things. So I think it would be a bad idea if Remy went to support.
You could spectate. I mean, there's like spectator, like the serfs attend as well just to watch. So there's like stands on the hillside that you can watch from.
Yeah. But just at all, even just to keep her away from that.
Well, and what I was thinking, because I think haste is like an 8, is it an 8-hour spell? Oh, it's a 1-minute spell, never mind. I was thinking haste you in the morning and then just go and keep concentration on it, but that won't work, it's only a minute. It's up to you. If you don't want Remy to go, Elise will go and watch. She'd be interested.
Yeah, keep Remy's rising fame and her image up. That's the word I'm looking for.
Okay.
So D100, 70 to 80 is the complication range.
72.
What'd you roll?
On the D10, is that a 10?
A 0? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a... Or no, so on a D100, a 0 is actually a 0.
The 0 is a 0.
Yes.
Okay, so I got 20 even then.
Wait, you got what?
20.
What was the first D1? What was the first D10?
So it's a 20 on the D100 or the percentile and a 0 on the 10.
So that's 30. That's 30. If you rolled a
Is that
if you rolled a double zero on the if you rolled a double zero, that's 0. If you rolled a 0, I guess I have a 10 on this one. Because 0 and 10, no, it's mirrored. That's a 10. Is my other dude?
Okay, so 20 and 0
Is a 30.
Okay, so I got 30.
Which is not a 70 to 80, so you're good. So another bad habit. So you get your name out there. Let me look and see who you would meet specifically. Vestra is the city we're in. So a lower level lord you meet is he's called Barnes, and he owns a bookstore, which you find interesting.
God damn it!
So that's one connection you make, and you can and actually go take a peek at his bookstore later. You would also meet somebody named Jonah, who's a lower level lord who runs the Anvil, which is the blacksmithing guild. So they basically take government contracts for the war. And some other unnamed nobles. Those are the 2 names that I have. Okay, so during this time, Reb, you're with her. She's walking through the streets of Old Town. And you actually, you see 2 people you recognize that are kind of just walking by as you're handing out various charity, bread, water. The one person you recognize is one of the cavalrymen that you met in Verda. He was the one playing the lute. He's kind of a pretty boy, a little younger, kind of curly black hair. And he's walking along and he kind of just looks annoyed. And the person that's leading him is the head of that cavalry unit. His name was Dagon Gamwell. And he's walking about looking at things as if he's walking through a dream almost. He's just kind of walking along slowly, looking at things as if he's experiencing like deja vu almost. Or he's daydreaming.
I recognize the other guy's name. The loot dude.
So his name, you met him, his name is Alan Daylock.
Alan. Okay.
And you didn't meet the Dagon, but they told you his name. That's Alan. This is Dagon. And he's like basically their commander. I can't spell today.
Okay, we've got like a weird like humming, buzzing sound going on. Does anybody else hear that?
I think it's on Lindsay's side.
What?
There's like a buzzing coming from you. I'm not sure what it is.
I wonder if it's my computer.
It might
but
be.
It's like a.
Yeah, I don't know what that. I'm not sure.
Do you still hear?
Yeah.
Here, wait. Wait.
Like
That too. Hold on.
Consistent hiss now.
Now, in a way.
Yes, we're good.
I don't know what you did, but.
Yeah, what was that?
I just muted myself.
Oh, now it's back.
Oh.
It must just be like the root. Do you have like a fan on or anything?
No.
Huh.
Light?
Just my computer, I guess. Is it loud?
I mean, it's just like a background buzz. You could go to like push to talk, or you could maybe it might be interference.
What's that? How does that work?
So in
maybe
the
the
settings
outlet?
for Discord, you can set it. If you go to the gear icon and then voice and video, you can go to push to talk input mode. And basically, you press a button when you want to talk. I think it's Alt.
Wait, where?
So hit the gear icon. It's in the bottom left. Should be. And then voice and video in app settings. you find that? Yay, audio. Oh, she disappeared. Oh, she really disappeared.
Okay, so where did I meet these people again?
This was in Verda.
For my notes.
I can't talk. You met them in Verda in the tavern. They were just passing through, and they were headed to the tournament to compete.
They were with V,
What
right?
happened, but I exited out of Discord on accident, I guess.
Okay, so in user settings on Discord, can you find voice and video? Settings, yay.
Voice and video.
And then there's an input mode, voice activity, or input mode, push to talk. So if you do push to talk, you basically have to press a button every time you want to talk. The only other thing I could think of is if it's picking up interference. Like if you put on headphones, it might go away. I'm not sure.
Are you plugged into a surge protector?
Can't imagine that would do it though. Wonder if it's just her laptop's fan. It's loud.
I'm just thinking like almost like interference like you get with like fluorescent bulbs and things like that to get affect like when I'm playing guitar, if you're around like certain kind of amps, frequencies, fluorescent bulbs, like stuff like that.
There is kind of a fluorescent bulb quality to it. Oh, she left Discord now too. Shit. She exited out of Discord instead of out of the settings. I do that a lot. Lindsay's back, maybe.
Yay,
she's trying to find her alt key, I bet. Unless it doesn't default to alt. Maybe I told her wrong.
So, I'm going back, I'm just reading the Discord, like, right when I popped it up. We lived, and Reb did hella damage to me as a shark. Rest in peace, Odge.
Morgan, you here?
Yes.
So, again, was Remy... Did Remy... Yeah, Remy was with the vampire hunting group, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you recognize Dagon and Alan Daylock from Verda. And they're just, again, walking around the city. Alan is kind of looking annoyed, like he doesn't want to be here. And Dagon is kind of walking around like he's daydreaming.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
So I'll kind of greet Alan and then kind of turn over to address Dagon too. Say, oh, you must be Dagon.
He looks at you like he doesn't recognize you. And Dagon kind of, you get his attention. And he says, oh yes, I saw you and you in the city to the north a few days back, didn't I?
Yes. Spent a lot of time more chatting with V. She's very interesting. But yeah, glad to see you guys made it here safely.
Dagon says, I don't know Vicar to be much of a talker, but I guess ale does help that situation. And he kind of smiles and looks at Remy and says, oh, are you performing charity today? And kind of looks around and sees that you guys are kind of surrounded by peasants that are accepting charity.
Yeah, today's a day of charity. Well, I figured we'd go put some good into the world with this aggressive tournament coming up.
He nods.
Okay, Justin, I'm sorry. Describe the giving charity process. Like,
basically, like, the church takes in donations, and then they use those donations for like upkeep of the church itself. But there's a certain amount of church funds that goes into charity. Basically, they purchase bread, cheese, any like kind of less perishable food, and clean water, and they go around the city and just basically give it to people. So like a peasant will walk up and you'll hand them like a piece of bread and a piece of cheese and a ladle of clean water, basically. It's typically done in the slums, but Old Town is also a place that they do it.
was kind of thinking of that, but like I just had the image of us like going out there and like just like tossing paper towels for everybody.
No.
So like it was kind of similar. I was just like, okay, is that what we're doing
no,
here?
You're not yeeting bread at peasants that walk by. Basically, the peasants kind of come into Old Town, congregate, and you walk through them and hand this stuff out. And Remy might be doing some prayers for people and like blessing people and like, you know, washing their hands in some holy water or something. So Dagon kind of looks at you, Remy, and says, "Oh, are you with the order then?"
Yeah, I am.
He kind of nods, and then he kind of tilts his head to the side like he's pondering that.
Would you care to attend a sermon? Are you already devoted?
He says, well, unfortunately I can't call myself a believer in a traditional sense. Though I am, as I'm getting older, becoming more religious, I guess I'd say.
Not a bad thing.
She's still doing chores.
Well, I'm trying to make some rice, and I can't find the top to my rice cooker.
Fucking rice cooker.
Found it.
Dagon says, I don't know, I have a good feeling about this city. This place.
That would
Been
be
good to us so far.
You see Alan kind of roll his eyes. Say, can we get out of these people's way and move along?
Oh,
Dagon says, in a moment.
Why don't you guys go stop by our bar, the Westwood, and have a drink?
And Dagon says, "Oh, you own a bar then?"
We do.
Okay, we might stop by. And he names an inn that they're staying at. It'd probably be in East Mains. He says, "We will, I think."
Well, we have more charity work to do, but we can catch up with you more later if you do want to swing by. That would be awesome.
Dagon says, "We will." And he just kind of steps to the side and lets you guys continue on.
I'd like to ask Dagon real quick before we pass by. Not pass on, we're not dying yet. About the usual return fee for the tournaments that they've been in, or what they expect this one to be.
Roll a persuasion check.
18.
He says, let me check one thing. Where is lifestyles? So he says, so you're engaging in the tournament then?
I've had thoughts off and on. I've watched the tournament growing up.
He says, any idea?
Kind of like every kid's fantasy.
Any idea in what category you'll be competing?
If anything, probably dueling, maybe a melee.
He nods and says,
Depends how everything feels.
You'll probably come across Gillian then. And this is one of the figures from the cavalry group. He's the guy that's like pushing 7 feet tall and looks pretty rugged.
Yay.
He kind of nods and says, for a lower noble, a month's wages is typical. Somewhere around 100, 120 gold. For upper level nobility, up to 6 months to a year of wages. So it really depends on the level of nobility you're speaking of. Depends on what lands they have. He says, technically, you would be within your right to keep someone captive as long as your offer isn't met. So, within...
I do imagine that's frowned upon, though.
He says, of course, but I'm not from here, you must remember. And he just kind of smiles. So he says, yeah, I mean, anywhere between, a month is kind of the lower end. Nights would be worth that. If you were to defeat, and he says, I don't know, what do they have, dukes here? I'd maybe start at 6 months.
All right.
So he shakes your hand, kind of with a two-handed shake, and lets you guys be on your way. So, you return back to the Westwood after completing various religious service. Echo, you see them return eventually. Reb looks extra annoyed, and Remy looks extra happy. So, the week of downtime is completed, I believe. Unless there's anything other little that you guys want to accomplish before the tournament starts.
Said butter and bread and rice.
Yeah, apparently. You could check in with Eno if you wanted. It's kind of the only other thing I remember. Yes, no, maybe so.
What?
They have a deal with Eno for some information, so if he's gathered more information,
sure, I guess so. Just see
he might.
If he's managed anything.
Probably. Do you think we should wait until after the tournament?
I mean, it has only been a week. I mean, I wouldn't mind either way.
Gain in that much time, but like.
I say that because I don't know what Eno will have researched by then. I guess with a full week, he'd probably knock out everything.
Everything?
Yeah, dude, he's fucking smart.
Kitty.
Unless you guys are still here.
Which cat?
If you guys walk in, he would again have just shit strewn everywhere. You sit down and he kind of looks up only after you speak to him. He says, yes, there was something I was supposed to tell you about. Remind me, what was it you had me looking into?
Quite a few things. There was... what was it?
How to destroy that thing, right?
There was destroying the... word.
Finger revolver.
Guys.
Phylactery.
Line. Phylactery. There was... The what?
The you line.
Line, something. Destroying the phylactery. There was putting, demons into bodies.
No.
Yeah, quite a few things.
Yeah, okay, so, and he kind of starts digging around him for pieces of paper, and he pulls out one piece of paper and hands it to you. He says, there are multiple ways to destroy the phylactery. One of which is any spell that dispels magical effects is capable of destroying a magic item if cast at a high enough level, or at a high enough competency level, strength-wise. He says there's a wizard attending the tournament. He's an advisor from Fordrum. His name's Adder Visar. You could meet with him and attempt to procure his services. He is a friend, although he knows me by a different name and a different face. So I might be able to ingratiate to him.
We would appreciate
The
that.
other option is any active volcano or a dragon's fire. I seem to remember something about a silver dragon in your near future. If you were to able to convince that silver dragon to breathe fire upon the phylactery, that would destroy it eventually. Other than that, I do know you have access to a cubic gate that allows travel across the planes. I believe to the plane of fire is one of those options. It could be thrown into any lava on the plane of fire if it's sufficiently hot. There are many active volcanoes in the... oh gosh, what is it called? Justin's forgetting. Eno's not forgetting, Justin's forgetting. Turner Master's Guide. The Fountains of Creation? Is that what it is?
That doesn't sound right.
Yeah, well... I was right. He says there's
Okay.
a mountain range on the plane of fire called the Fountains of Creation. There's many active volcanoes there. Throwing it into any such volcano would work. Additionally, the Sea of Fire is sufficiently hot.
That's what I
That
was
is
thinking of.
just a sea of lava and fire bordering the city of Brass. A very well-traveled location. As far as traveling the Fountains of Creation, you would need breathable air. The air there is very toxic. It's filled with smoke and toxins. So most denizens that don't have some sort of resistance to breathing such toxicity either need a suit of some kind that filters air as you breathe it, or you need a clean air source. It's also very hot there, so you would additionally need some sort of way to cool your body, or over a matter of hours it would probably kill you. The city of Brass is magically altered and kept basically filtered, so the air is breathable within the city of Brass for travelers. So you could get to the Sea of Fire in a much more safe manner than you could the Fountains of Creation. Though the city of Brass is not without its perils as well.
We've visited at least once. It was interesting. Interesting place.
Roll a charisma check.
What are we doing here?
Just trying to learn how to fuck to destroy this phylactery.
Oh, gotcha. I got that.
And a lot of this...
Zoned out.
Yeah, well, a lot of this stuff also won't make sense to you. It's stuff that they understand because they've played these sections. So if you don't understand something, you can just have Echo ask them. Just be like, hey, what the hell are you guys talking about? Because
What the fuck is a phylactery?
that's what Echo would be doing in this moment, is being like, what are all these words? Are they supposed to make sense? Like, charisma check was?
11.
He says,
And
was there
also
anything
Echo.
else then? Was there something else I was supposed to be?
Demons into
Right.
bodies from a reliquary, even if it's damaged.
He says,
that was one.
Well, he says the process of summoning a demon at any given time is kind of a two-step process. You conjure a body and then you fill it with an abyssal soul, basically. Though a demon's essence isn't the same as a soul, but in terms of the word, it kind of works. So a demon summoning can be altered to fill the conjured body before the soul gets there. He says, I fear that the only way to do that would be to have the true name of the demon and alter the summoning ritual to allow such a thing. You would also need probably at least a soul larva. Soul larvae? Plural? Singular? Larva is
Larva
plural.
singular.
Is larvae singular?
Larvae would be plural, I believe. Need a larva,
way, she doesn't
need soul larvae.
At least one would be needed to power such a ritual. but additionally you would need the true name of a demon. And of course,
How would you...
your demonic essence would be going into whatever demon you are able to summon. So if you are to put it into a very weak demon, it's going to be a very weak demon. It will be bound to that, so it will now have corporeal form again and can be resummoned from the abyss if it's killed. But it will be in the whatever demon you summon. So for instance, if you summon a Quasit, which is a very imp-like creature, very kind of weak in terms of power, the demonic essence that you are dealing with would be put inside of a Quasit and would not be very formidable, I guess I'd say.
But we can then repeat the process to another...
He says, well, it doesn't quite work. Like you would have to remove the demonic essence again back into an object.
Okay.
Which is a whole another process, he says.
Okay.
It would need to be placed into a talisman again so that it's disconnected from the corporeal form.
And for this, we need the true name of the demon we're trying to fill, or the one we're trying to transport?
It's not necessary, but your chances of succeeding are going to be much higher if you have.
Which one do we need?
Sorry, so you need a true name, and what was the other thing you said?
True name of the one that we're trying to summon, or the one that we're trying to sick Rixes that we're trying to fill?
The true name of the demon you're summoning.
Okay.
So you wouldn't need Sycorax's true name. I don't know. I don't think Eno knows that name, Sycorax. I don't think you've shared that with him. But he basically says you would need the demon that you're supplanting. You would need that, like the Quasit's true name.
Yeah. The Quasit's true name.
Yes.
Okay.
If you summoned a Quasit and put Sycorax into a Quasit, you would need the Quasit's true.
Okay.
Eno looks at Echo and says, "Where do I know you from?"
I was here the last time.
He squints at you,
your plant.
trying to tell if you're telling the truth, and he just kind of nods and goes back to whatever you guys are talking about.
How would you alter the ritual?
He says, "I'd give it to me and let me do it."
What would that cost?
He just seems to think for a moment. I'm trying to remember if Eno wants anything right now.
And would Eno be able to summon a demon fitting enough for Sycorax?
He kind of nods.
Or would that be another problem altogether?
You ask him about that, and he kind of nods and says, I'm capable of summoning something fairly formidable, yeah. He says, a little bird told me that your mages have unearthed some new spells in some books that you acquired recently. I'd be interested in having access to those formulae. Formulae? This is the same problem we just had a second ago. Formulae. Spell formulae. Yeah, formulae.
Wait, how did you discover this?
He just says that a little bird told him.
A little bird.
I guess Echo. What's your passive?
Sounds sketch. I don't think I'd like to share my information.
That is fucking sketch.
So
yes.
Passive perception for Echo is what? Passive perception for Echo is 13. Let me check one thing. Eno, where you at though? Cornell, Eno.
Ew.
No, you.
What's going on YouTube?
And then, I guess, Echo, you asked, so roll a perception check, Echo.
What?
Roll a perception check.
I asked?
Yeah, you asked about how he knew this, so I'll let you be the one to roll it rather than Remy.
A D20?
Yeah,
Is that what you said?
so you can kick...
A perception?
Yeah, so you can click on perception under the list of, like, a bunch of skills.
Could I roll one as well?
Which one is that?
So it's under like the list of acrobatics, animal handling, arcana, like in that list. you click on perception, parentheses wisdom, or whiz. I don't know, can I...
What?
Because you're a
Oh,
wizard.
perception.
Yeah.
Hurry.
9! Okay. You don't know how he knows this, but he does.
Okay.
He says, so I would perform the ritual if you share those spell formulae with me. Let me check Summon Greater Demon and make sure what the material cost is for that. He says, additionally, I would need the blood of a humanoid killed in the last 24 hours.
You would need a what?
He kind of responds looking at Reb and not looking at you, Remy. He says, I would need a vial of blood from a humanoid killed in the last 24 hours.
The one, used to make the soul larva
He nods.
larvae would suffice, yeah.
Sleepy boy.
He says
That's
a
fine.
soul larvae could supplant that material cost, but then you would need to additionally include another soul larvae for the process to complete. Soul larva? Soul larva for the process to complete. And again,
Well, I mean,
this
like
is
last
not
time when I killed someone, I got like blood, and then it turned into a soul larva. So can I do the same sort of thing? Just get a vial instead of painting the wall with it?
Yes, so the reason it became a soul larva is because you altered it. You put it up on an altar, so it like became a demonic totem.
Okay.
So if you just murder somebody, they're not going to become a soul larva. And Eno specifies like this isn't an attempt, right? Like this isn't a for sure thing. This is something that we're pitting the will of me and your demon against the demon we summon. So if we summon a very powerful demon, there's going to be a chance that they're going to resist this process. And he says, I don't necessarily even know what that's going to look like. There's a chance that your demonic essence would be obliterated in that process and just cease to exist. He says, I honestly
In
don't.
my head, just rip.
Sycorex just says, yeet! The fuck out of this armor. So that's, he says that would be one thing you'd have to provide. Unless if you have something else I want.
Okay.
And don't
I'll
know
discuss
about.
that with them. And then
Is there anything else?
working the hattery, I believe.
Oh, so that was just like, get me a silver scale from a dragon that willingly gives it to me. And then you
That's
need
right. Okay.
salt from the blood marsh and a vial of blood from the blood marsh in purgatory.
Oh, what's a blood marsh?
Roll a persuasion check. Unless these guys want to just tell you. James? Morgan?
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
Echo wanted to know what
What is
the
that
blood...
thing that he just
I just
said?
said the blood marsh, and Echo wants to know what the hell you guys are talking about. He's still not.
I wouldn't know, because I forget.
Echo, roll a persuasion check.
Okay.
So that'd be under perception somewhere.
So I'm trying to look at my notes, and I'm just like scramble-brained, minded.
20. So Eno kind of looks at you and says, one of the ingredients needed is something of religious value, religious importance. I don't know, whatever you prefer. We need Purgatory is a battlefield between the heavens and hells. A location where much of the fighting took place has now filled with blood. So it's a swamp, if you will. Instead of water, there's blood of angels, demons, and devils. A bit of that blood has a lot of arcane potential. Additionally, some salt from the up valley side. So There's a salt flat on the heaven side of this blood marsh. It's from the tears of angels that witnessed the conflict. So salt from angel tears, if you will.
Gotcha.
Those things have the capability of containing a soul without degrading and losing it, basically. And then the scale of a silver dragon can be used to put that thing into a container that can be moved around. I think their plan is to make some sort of clockwork body and put the soul of one of their friends in it. And this is the stupid idea I've had to allow them to do that. Morgan.
Teep's
Okay,
supposed to
you want
get
a
his
scale,
Yeah, so
blood marsh.
basically you need to provide him with those material components for him to do that spell for you, basically.
Wasn't Teep's supposed to get the soul back, or is he the one that sold it?
Well, Teeps was the one that tried to revive him, but like you guys can just get it back. It's in a jar on Raxus's desk.
Didn't he have a mission or something to get it back?
He had a mission to like corrupt that lich that you freed.
Ah.
Yeah. So, Lindsay, basically, one of Aj's characters, his soul has been captured by a devil, placed in a jar, and sat on a desk in hell. So they need to get that soul and put it with this salt and this blood, contain it within a silver scale forged into something that can hold that, and then put that on top of a clockwork man that Clint has made. It's like a robot out of clockwork with little levers to control the arms and legs. And basically this will give Aj's character a body. Hopefully.
I come back and all I hear is that soul on the desk.
Yeah. So...
Wait, so they're bringing back AJ?
Yeah, so he has a character named Veril, who was a wizard.
One of his 82 characters.
Yeah, he has a wizard character that has been captured for quite a while. Like a year or so.
You guys just have multiple characters.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So that's the other
all the
interesting thing.
characters.
So Veril's body is so Veril's original body is actually inhabited by his other character that also died. So it's a little confusing. One character lacks a body. The other character he made up in the meantime stole the body of the first one. And so now the soul needs to go into a clockwork body rather than going into it's D&D. Reb, anything else in this conversation with you?
We fucked it up. Or not fucked it up, like we fucked shit up is what it was.
Aj died. It's kind of his fault.
But you know what? We gave him options to come back. You know, it works. Now I'm giving him a body.
I think you should just put Sycorax in the clockwork body.
Dear Lord. Dear Lord.
So, anything else to do with Eno? Any other information he was supposed to get for you?
No, I finally found my notes, and no, that was it.
Okay. So he just kind of shoos you away. You guys head out, back down the stairs. So...
Where did we put the plant, by the way?
The plant?
Yeah, the tree that we took.
Cetaphil has it.
Jonathan,
Yeah, wherever he...
can I steal it? Can I steal it while he's not
He's
here?
busy.
Yes.
So him and Sallow
Yes.
have mysteriously disappeared.
Fuck him. That's not fair.
Wait, what was the tree's name?
Sallow.
So,
Sallow. Okay.
Is he
I thought I heard
planning-
just aloe. I was like, that's terrible.
Lindsay, is he planning on coming back?
I think so. I think he's just had a rough time being,
COVID,
you know, literally isolated in his own house and not leaving his room at all.
Oh,
That's the perfect time to play D&D.
I know, that's what I was thinking.
But is he also
but
Computer?
he was like, you know, corona-y.
Doesn't he have a computer?
He actually gets to go back to work tomorrow, but he does.
I bet he just.
Well, if he has a computer, he can play.
I think he probably just feels shitty. He's sick, man. Isn't it like one of the things? You're just like exhausted.
Yeah, pretty much.
So yeah, Cetaphil? I can't remember. He's off on his own adventure this week. He has a flu and got stuck out in the woods somewhere.
Yeah.
Echo flew out into the woods.
Suck for him.
So you guys head back to the Westwood. That concludes the research you were going to do. So I guess, unless you want to do anything specific, the next thing is Reb's tournament shenanigans.
Why am I scared?
So...
Alright, Tomvay's my squire now, right? Yeah.
Sure.
Sucker. Can I ransom the squire instead?
Sure?
She'd be like, just take my fucking squire.
Like, not really, because you wouldn't get as much money for a squire.
Well, I mean, like, you know, instead of taking me, just, dude, like, instead of me paying and get myself back, just take my fucking squire.
What does the squire do?
It just basically, if your weapon breaks, they can provide you with another weapon. Or when you get defeated and captured, they are the one that negotiates your release. So they, like, basically, you and your squire negotiate the terms of your release, and then the squire gets the gold, and presents it to the person that it's supposed to go to.
Elise can do that since Aj isn't even here.
Okay.
But it's less funny because I want to sell my squire.
Echo,
okay.
Do you want to go with Reb and Arya, or do you want to go with Remy?
Where are they all
Remy
going?
is going to the church to do just religious service.
Gross.
Meeting with some nobles, probably, like the cathedral. And then Reb and Reb and Elise are going to the tournament.
Can I do my own thing?
Yeah, what do you want to do? You basically have 2 weeks of downtime again. If you're not going to be attending one of these options.
Are there any horrible criminals around?
Yeah, probably. If you searched around, you could probably find some, sure. The people that come through the tavern here are not particularly high class. Some of them are, but some of them aren't.
Are any of them rapists?
Yeah, probably. Or you just...
Can I go burn their house down with them inside?
Yeah, sure. I guess what do you imagine you would gain from that? Like there's the utility of killing rapists, obviously, but I mean, like, are you looking to befriend...
or can I go loot their house and then...
I mean, that's also an option. I'm wondering, like,
can I do that?
Are you trying to steal their stuff, or are you trying to, like, befriend victims? Because you could, like, actually meet people and gain, like, contacts, basically.
Yes.
One or the other.
Yes.
Well, you have 2 weeks, so you could do both. And you also have, technically with downtime, so it works in 8-hour stints, basically. So 8 hours a day for a week is one set of downtime. But you can actually, because of the way the day is partitioned, you can do 2 activities a day. So you could, because you have like 16 hours of doing stuff and then 8 hours of sleep. So you could, like, crime, which is just making money by stealing rapists' stuff. But you could also, I don't know what I would call this. Religious service? What would I call this? Let me run down the list and figure out.
What was there, like there's one that's basically, like, causing trouble.
Yeah, I feel bad calling killing rapists crime, because it's objectively a good thing to be doing. It doesn't feel like crime's the right word.
Chaotic good.
Chaotic good, yes.
But in effect, I mean, pit fighting maybe is a better option. Though pit fighting, I think,
Oh my lord.
involves betting on yourself, so...
I was gonna say, that's more what I'm about to do.
I mean, one of the other options is to call that training. And you could basically gain experience for doing this stuff and maybe level up. That'd be another option.
Okay.
So basically, you get 2 weeks and basically 2 choices a week. So we have crime is an option. I'll put this in chat. Crime, and it just makes you money. Carousing is, I think carousing is the one where you gain like contacts. Let me take a peek. Yeah, so carousing is basically like you're going around doing social things. So you're like going to a tavern, paying for people's drinks, and meeting people. If you pick like basically what class of people you want to be meeting, so you can go to like a low class tavern, a middle class tavern, or a high class tavern. But there's a gold cost associated with each of those. But so carousing makes you contacts. And then what was the other option that I thought of? I mean, I feel like religious...
Okay, what the fuck did you do?
I feel like religious service should be an option because you could be gaining... I don't know. Do you think Echo is a... Because, like, Echo...
Doing is the
Echo...
religious carousing.
Yeah, basically. Echo is an Aasimar, which means you have angelic blood, so I feel like it should be an option that you can basically get religious favor. Basically, the way that this would work for you, because you don't have a connection with a church... Maybe we could call it, like, when you head home to Demetra, you could have her perform a favor for you, or the gods might help you out in a case. And the way that works is Justin decides when to spend those favors. If a god wants to help you out, or an angel wants to help you out at any time, it might.
Okay.
So religious service is an option, and you gain favors for that. There was one more. What was the other one I thought of? Oh, training. So you could just train, count this as training, and you gain XP for that. So those are your options.
But then I also can loot stuff.
Yeah, so you pick two. You'll pick 2 of these per week. So technically, you could do all 4 over that 2-week period, but it's up to you. So two choices for the first week, and then 2 choices for the second week. And there'll be a roll associated with that.
A carousing costs gold.
Yeah, so that's, I mean... So basically how that would work is, like, you're going to a tavern meeting people, and you're trying to get information about which house to hit. So you're, like, carousing to find victims. It will be the case that these victims are people that will be able to help you in some way. So it might be that they're a blacksmith, or... they're a leather worker or whatever.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just do all 4.
Okay, so let's do the crime one first.
Fuck yeah!
You're criming for a week. Okay, so that's interesting.
I have Holy Spirit in me, but I'm not above some crime.
But again, I feel like it's not the right word to be using, because it's technically crime, but you're doing a good thing. It's like it's like I think James said lawful good, or not lawful good. The opposite of that, which is chaotic good.
Lawful good. If that was lawful good, oh shit!
Okay,
all my characters.
So the cost here, 20. So you're already going to be spending 25 gold. So, and I'll include that in your carousing, because this is all kind of one. This is a custom set of downtime. 25 gold, you're gathering information on potential targets. Sought from the crime. So, I guess, so that depends. We need to figure out what level of person you are. So we need a class. Social class to decide the DC. 3 checks: stealth check, thieves tool, investigation. Okay, so let's decide on the carouse. Basically, the carousing thing will decide like what social class of rapist you are trying to kill. So low class is criminals, laborers, mercenaries, town guard, people in the slums. So there's a north slums and a south slums on the city that are fairly large. can't remember which is which, but one is basically like shanty town, and the other one is like buildings, but they're just kind of old and run down. The other option is middle class, so that's guild members, town officials, merchants, that sort of thing.
I want to eat the rich.
The upper class is nobles, but you don't have an inn yet. So the upper class one, you specifically need like a connection to even get into those parties. So that one's not an option. But lower class,
Okay.
the cost is... Lower class is only 10 gold, so you're already covered for that in the 25 gold. The middle class is 50 gold, so you'd have to add an additional 25 gold on top. If you were to... Because I think you have 30 right now, don't you?
Yeah.
You could maybe convince one of the other party members to spot you a couple gold so you could go kill some rapists, basically. And
Hey,
let
hey, Red.
me just inform Lindsay that they have a lot of fucking money.
Hey, Reb. I'm gonna go fuck shit up in town. It's for the greater good of the community.
I'm
and
gonna give
I was
you
wondering-
inspiration. So the way that this works is you can add a d6 to a roll at any time. If you want to add this to a roll that James makes you make to convince Reb right now, you can. Because telling Reb that you're gonna go into town and fuck shit up is the way to get this accomplished. I think that James has multiple times described things that way. I'm gonna go burn down a chapel. Like,
I love that.
The
Okay.
butcher, the baker, the candlestick
I think
maker.
that Sycorex, you see when you say that, the mouth smiles on Reb. You're not sure whether it's Reb smiling or the demon smiling, but one of them is.
Yes.
Okay, so you go in, you're gonna fuck shit up, and she's just like, one, I can't say it's a bad idea. That's hypocritical. Two, what exactly are you doing so I can stay far away and not have anything to do with it?
Echo, you don't have a location yet, but you will have a location.
But you'll most likely be far away from the scene.
I mean, technically, she's going to be out at the tournament all week, so she's not even going to be in the city limits while this is happening.
Exactly.
But what exactly are you doing?
She will.
Like, there's like
Doing-
pointed
I mean, what-
fucking shit up, and then
What
there's
do you
just
imagine
random
murdering a rapist is going to require? Echo.
What?
What do you think that murdering a rapist is going to require?
What do you mean?
You're going to have to
What way?
break into their house. You're going to have to sneak up to them and then murder them by some means.
Yes.
So you whatever you think that like, if that means you're going to just burn their house down, you could tell Reb that. Or if that means you're going to walk up and slit their throat and it's going to be real quiet, you could also say that.
I may just be stealthy. Depends on my target, really. But I'll have a very methodical approach to it.
what? Why? What targets? Like what brings this all about?
I feel like Sycorex
Why are you
in your
doing
head
this?
is like, I understand why you're asking why, but also I
But
feel
aren't-
guilty about having to ask why, because I know the answer. It's because they're rapists. But also, there needs
I'm
to be
doing
a little...
it.
Like, she hasn't told Reb that yet.
I guess,
For women.
I guess that's true.
For women.
So you haven't actually mentioned
feel
that it's...
empowered.
You haven't
You actually haven't mentioned that
actually
part.
mentioned that it's rapists yet. You just said you're going into town to fuck shit up.
And like,
maybe
James is
mention
trying to
that
lead
part.
you to that for a reason.
How do you feel about murder on people that deserve it?
Well, there's a lot of different things that does it. What did they do to you? Or are you just like trying to have fun? Like, are you Batman? Like, what's going on?
Oh, I'm just trying to get things for myself I need, but also I don't want to steal from people that have worked hard and are good people.
So why aren't these good people? Like,
Because
what's
they're
your
ra-
differentiation here? They're wait,
Because
what?
they are rapists.
Fuck yeah, how much you want? You want to need a sword or anything?
Yes.
Fuck yeah, let's go. Like, lead you up to like her storage, like all her weapons and stuff.
There's just a rack of
What
weapons
do you-
in her room.
What do you need for help? I'm not a part of this. You know that. What do you need?
What do I need?
I'm going to lend you my Ring of the Ram, and that's a fucking good one. I love that one.
It's a little ring. It has sculpted into it is like the head of a ram with horns.
Dodge,
Reb, you could describe this however you'd like.
Basically, it's got 3 charges, and you can decide to use one, and basically summon a huge, like, incorporeal ram that comes and hits the target, and, like, runs, like, blasts through them, and it deals, 2d10 force damage for each charge.
So basically,
you can do up to 60-10 damage for 1 hit.
For reference, like, the average commoner has, like, 2 hit points. So when you're hitting it for, like, upwards of 20 damage, they're turning into a red mist. So that would, like, punch a hole in somebody's chest. Like the average
Or
person.
the wall. You can also use it against, like, objects and stuff to break through walls and whatever and shit. I should tell you, like, hey, don't go around just firing this shit for fun, okay? Emergencies only, when you really need to. Only targets 1 person, but I got you, girl. Here you go.
And yeah, so you also know, Echo, this city, the Order specifically is very, like, superstitious about witchcraft. So they've told you, like, inside the Westwood you're fine, because we're kind of covered here, but maybe don't do, like, overt magic out in the public, because it might, like, attract some attention.
Okay. I'll be careful.
So, yeah, so he gives you the Ring of the Ram. I'll update your character sheet with that for how it works, but for now, we'll just cover it for you if it comes up. But so, Reb, did you want to pay for the total is 50 gold, and she has 30, but if you want to pay for the whole thing, you can.
Hold on, I'm trying to shoot this into the chat. How do I do this?
Ring of the Ram.
Sponsor the girl, man. Sponsor her.
Oh, yeah.
So
I'm just trying to. I have Ring of the Ram on the item list. I'm trying to figure out how to shoot it into the chat now.
Sponsor my first solo mission.
Oh, in the it's in the compendium or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I have no idea. So he pays for the whole thing. Reb does, right? James does. Reb is a girl.
Yes.
So middle class carousing. Let's do that roll first. So roll a persuasion check for Echo.
That's not what I needed.
Oof.
She's gonna die.
Oh, that's actually still a success, though. Or it's not a bad thing, basically.
Oh, okay.
So you didn't, on this roll, you didn't make any new contacts. So, like, the victim you met isn't, it's just like a commoner. So they don't have, like, a trade that could help you out. They're not like a blacksmith or anything. So they are just a commoner. And then roll a D100. And you don't want to roll 50 to 60.
Want to roll 50 to 60?
You don't want to.
Wait.
That's just over.
That's a bad.
So you're good. Nothing bad happens there. Now crime. So what were the options? Crime, religious service, training. Okay. So let's do the crime one next. So you're just basically going to be looting their house. Crime. Where are you at, though?
So, Lindsay, the reason I was trying to lead you onto that is Reb's backstory is basically the Catholic Church, and after, like, gaining a bunch of levels, one of the first things she did was go and murder a priest. So she's like, what? Rapist? Fuck yeah, let's go. What do we need?
So the first thing I need from Echo is a stealth check. You do have advantage, because if you're doing this at night, you have advantage. Because you're dealing with a human. Humans can't see in the dark, but you can. So
I roll a stealth
so roll a stealth check, yeah, and it automatically rolls advantage. We just take the higher of the two, which is 22. Oh, and natural 20, so that's awesome. So,
yeah.
22 natural.
Oh, wait, sponsor a girl.
Okay,
Money.
so that's that. Makes 3 checks. Okay, so you're not caught and jailed, so that works. That's good. You're fine, equal to the No, that checks. Okay. If 2 check success, the partial success. I see. So now I need. So basically, what you've done is you've found your victim, which is to say a rapist. So you found your victim, which is a commoner, who has provided you with a victim, a rapist, and you go to their home. You find their home. It's a small kind of cottage almost in the South Slums. It seems that this person lives alone. There isn't many patrols in the slums, so you don't have to worry about town guards. You wait until nightfall. You see the light in their window go out. You know it's just like a loft, basically, that they're sleeping in. You need to make entrance into the building. How would you do that? And also, you have other so you can prepare spells coming into this. So maybe like invisibility would be a good option. But prepare spells that you think you might need for breaking into somebody's house and murdering them.
So I do have invisibility, right?
Yes, yeah.
So I'm gonna use that. But are there any windows open? Is the door unlocked?
Roll a perception check. And actually, this would depend on the weather, huh? Maybe we could roll a weather. 15. So you kind of case the joint. Let's roll for weather to decide whether the window would be open. So
how do I do
I will tell you. Roll a d20.
What time of year is it right now?
It's mid-fall.
I believe you said the seasons roughly follow.
I try to. Sometimes that doesn't work out, but I try to encourage you guys to like skip time when a season changes, basically. So 13, it's normal temperature. Roll another d20. So the temperature is a little on the cold side, a little gray out that day.
Get out of there.
5, no wind, and
plastic.
roll one more d20. 6.
Rip.
And no rain. So a window is cracked on the lower level just to let in some cool air. You do see kind of the remnants of a fire burning in the hearth, so there's a low amount of light, but your invisibility actually helps, so you would still have advantage on the stealth check. So with your perception check, you find one of the lower level windows are open. You walk in and can pry that open a little more, and with your invisibility, you make it into the house without being noticed. It seems the man upstairs is still snoring. So you sneak up into the loft, and now basically you need to kill this person. So how would you go about? He's sleeping on like a little cot in a blanket, kind of long brown hair. He's an older guy, maybe in his 50s, kind of scruffy.
Oh, I do have a dagger, and I don't want to make it look like anything magical happened because this town is not too fond of that.
Okay.
So I think I'm just gonna, like stab him right
I
in
might be able to recommend something. I think catapult. You can pick a dagger as the object. So you could maybe.
What is that?
So the spell catapults an object at someone. I think you can pick to catapult the dagger, and it might do more damage.
I really thought you were gonna say yeet him out the fucking window.
Yeah, it has to be an object.
And that's what I thought you were going to say too.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that.
Just target. So yeah, so a dagger,
talking.
like stabbing somebody with a dagger does a D4 damage. Catapult does 3d8. That's interesting. So if an object strikes creature, they make a dex save. Okay. So yeah, so if you want to do that, you kind of can toss the dagger up in the air and then catapult it at this guy. He's unconscious currently, so I think he automatically fails this roll. Basically, he would be rolling to avoid the dagger flying at him. But because he's asleep and you haven't woken him up, I think he automatically fails, but let me check. Unconscious.
That would be pretty fucking funny.
Automatically fails dex saves.
Defenestrate
So roll 3d8. The spell is...
How do I do that one?
So you do the /R space 3d8.
I think you can also click on the spell and it should roll.
I think that I have to put in catapult because it's not in the compendium, and I don't think I added a roll to that, so I don't think that would work.
You can also put it in the
I have
weapons portion. Just name it catapult and then put in 3d8.
I'm killing some rapists.
Plus to it.
So, you just toss the dagger up and catapult it down at this guy. It hits him in the throat, and his eyes snap open and are wide, and they kind of blink and kind of look in your direction. You can tell that he sees you're invisible. He doesn't see shit. He just looks around the loft and then just perishes, kind of gurgling in his own blood. So now do you want to leave your dagger there, or do you want to take it with you?
I'll take it with me.
So you
leave no evidence behind.
You pull the dagger out of him. He's clearly dead. Now roll an investigation check to basically loot his place. You can actually pick perception instead, so pick whichever's better between investigation and perception for you. Whichever bonus is higher.
Wait. Oh, there. Oh, okay, that's how I rotate back. Okay.
So it looks like they're the same.
You said investigation.
Yeah, investigation or perception, and you can roll either of them, but it looks like they're the same, so just pick whichever one suits you at the moment. 20. Okay. So that's a success. And then training was the last thing. So all 3 checks were successful. Oh, and then, so roll a D100 just to see if anything complicates your exit, basically, as you leave. And don't roll 80 to 90. Yeah, so you invisibly get out of this guy's home and make your way back to the Westwood. Nobody accosts you along the way. You get a group of loot. So one thing to note, Aova, who's kind of the lead bartender, also heads a thieves guild. So you've seen Arya bring valuable items to her, basically to fence them, and Aova provides her with a pot of gold based on what she gets, like her cut. So there are minor valuables here, minor precious items that are made of gold, some jewelry, that sort of thing. You give this stuff to Aova. She gives you 50 gold in response. So you've made 50 gold off this situation.
Sweet.
Morgan, this has gone better than any of our espionage missions and killing people and all that shit.
Oh my god, so much better.
So you're up to
so much better.
Back to 80 gold.
I was so nervous when she was going off on her own. I was like, no, don't split the party. No, it's fine.
The last thing is training for XPs. So, I mean, you used magic in this endeavor. Just roll an intelligence check. So click on the intelligence word. I gotta check the DMG for this one. What was that?
14.
So you have that D6 from earlier, that D6 inspiration. You could add that to get this even higher and gain more XP, basically, if you roll high enough.
Yes.
So roll a D6.
2.
So 17
Better.
total. Training, where are you at, though? Yeah, so you meet the gold cost for that. And you've spent 2 weeks. Yeah. So you, based on that, level up to 4th level. So you get a level up for murdering a rapist. I feel
That makes us look like we're terrible at D&D.
I feel content with that.
I feel like
Like, how many people did Red Merc and doing all this shit almost got caught like every time, never leveled up?
To be fair, we never really utilized invisibility or anything. I don't know if any of us had ever had invisibility to utilize. I feel like that made life a lot easier.
Yeah, maybe.
So let's figure out. I'm just gonna do our level up stuff now because we're already here. Roll a d6 echo. So each time you level up, you gain a d6 hit points, but it has to be 3 or more. So if you roll a d6 and you get less than 3, you can decide to take 3 instead. So just roll a d6.
3.
3. So you gain 3 hit points. 4th level.
Where you at, though?
4.
fourth level's an ASI, right?
Yes. So that goes up to 23. So you can
Damn.
prepare one. You can prepare 7 spells now instead of 6. That doesn't change.
You're gonna outlevel Odge soon.
His level.
Funny because it's true.
Funny because it's true.
So you have 3 second level slots now, so you can cast extra spells, basically. So I guess technically this is 4 and 3 now. And then you get something that's called an ability score improvement. So the way this works is, this is how you raise your stats. And at every 4th level, you get a ability score improvement. So you can add 2 to the score of one ability, or you can add 1 to 2 scores. So in the case of like your 13 in Constitution, if you add a 1 to this, your modifier becomes 2. If you go up to 15, it doesn't change. So if you want to increase stats, you could, to get like the most bang for your buck, you would add 1 to Constitution and 1 to like Dexterity, and you would get like basically 2 bonuses out of that. I would maybe recommend increasing Intelligence though, because that's what your spells are based on. If you increase Intelligence, your spells are more powerful, but additionally you can prepare 8 spells in that case. The other option.
What's Constitution?
Constitution is like how tough you are, so you'd have extra hit points, and you'd be able to resist poison.
Yeah, no, I want Intelligence and Dexterity.
So there's those 2 options, but there's a third option called an optional feature. And this is like an extra ability. There's a big list in the player's handbook. If you want to look at those, I'll run through them right now. Typically, you want to pick something that like benefits your class. So you would want to pick something that benefits a wizard. The ones that would do that are. So there's one called Alert. And basically it means you can't be surprised by enemies. Your initiative goes up, so you're more likely to act first in combat. That's an option. You're also like, if creatures are hidden from you, it's easier to like hit you with like an arrow. Basically, if you pick Alert, it's as if you know that something's there even when they're hidden from you. So like that hidden arrow coming at you, you would dodge it without even looking, like that kind of thing. So that's one option. Another option is Keen Mind. Basically, you remember anything you've seen in the last month. So you have like a limited eidetic memory. You always remember which way is north, so you would never lose your sense of direction. And you always know what time of day it is, basically. With that one, your intelligence goes up by 1 as well. So you would get the intelligence bonus plus this extra feature. Another option, Linguist. You learn a bunch of languages. That can help you find more spells, because sometimes there are spells that are in weird languages. There's also spells, though, that let you read languages, so that's kind of up to you whether you want that. Lucky is basically you get a chance to re-roll some rolls that you don't like. You can do 3 times a day. So basically, you roll once, you don't like the number, I'm going to use one of my lucky rolls, and you get to re-roll it. Mage Slayer. You're very skillful at combating mages. So, if a mage casts a spell while within 5 feet of you, you get a free hit at them. You also have you're also better at interrupting their spell casting. So if you deal damage to them, they have to basically roll high enough to like keep their spells active. And if they don't roll high enough, their spell fades. If you pick Mage Slayer, you're better at that. So basically it's more hard for them to maintain their spells. Magic Initiate, you learn an extra spell. With Wizard, that's not a really good one to take because you can already learn spells when you find them. There are, of course, features you could take that make you more of a melee fighter, which is one of the areas you lack. So you could learn how to wear armor as one of the options. You could learn how to wield a shield, I think, as one of the options. So, like, there's some options there where, like, you could go in a different direction than your class and learn something that, like, is kind of a weakness, basically. Observant, you get a bonus to noticing things passively. So that's your passive perception. Earlier, Eno clearly has a spy of some sort in the Westwood, and you rolled to see whether you saw that spy when you found your spells. You didn't roll high enough. So with Observant, you additionally get a bonus to either Intelligence or Wisdom. So again, your Intelligence bonus would go up. But you also are better at just like noticing things out of the corner of your eye. So you might have noticed whatever Eno's spy is if you had this earlier. Mobile, you move faster, so you could run faster. That is Warcaster is basically like dueling. So you're better at concentrating. So again, like if somebody damages you, you're better at maintaining spells that you have active rather than letting them fall. Additionally, if someone moves away from you, when someone retreats from you, you get a free hit on them. If you pick Warcaster, you can actually cast a spell. So as they run away, you get a free like spell casting, which you normally wouldn't get. Spell Sniper.
There's a Spell Sniper.
Yeah, Spell Sniper's a good one. It extends the range of spells, so you can fight at even a longer range. It doubles the range of a spell of your choice, a cantrip of your choice. You also learn a cantrip when you take that. So you could learn an extra cantrip for free, and its range is basically double what it normally is.
Would you let her take telekinetic or telepathic?
I was gonna go to. So there's the player's handbook. Yeah, so she doesn't know what that is. The player's handbook is like the official rules, and then there's something that's released on the internet called Unearthed Arcana, and it's basically little PDFs with like a smaller set of content. And it's basically like playtesting things. So when they're testing something out to see if it is balanced, they release it on the internet for people to play. Most of the content on there is okay in my book. So there's a lot of like optional Unearthed Arcana options as well, which I'm going to go through in a second. So feats for skills is an option. Where did you find telekinetic, James?
Shit, what the hell was it?
Is that like in a psionics one?
Rogue, Wizard, and something else, I think.
Okay, let me go over the skills. So, additionally,
Fighter, Rogue, and Wizard.
There's optional features for each skill. So, like Acrobatics, Animal Handling, Arcana. Each of those skills, there's an optional feature that makes you really good at one of those things. So, for instance, the Arcanist option is for Arcana. It would double your Arcana bonus, which is 5. That would become a plus 10. So it wouldn't become a plus 10, I'm sorry. It would become a plus, it's an 8. No, it's a 4, it'd be a plus 7. But basically, that would eventually get up to like really high numbers. But for you, it would turn into a plus 7. Additionally, with Arcana, or Arcanist, you learn Prestidigitation, which is a cantrip that's basically like a simple magical trick. But you also get to cast Detect Magic once for free per day. So you basically have learned Detect Magic so thoroughly that you don't need to bubble it in, you don't need to prepare it, but you can just cast it once a day for free. So there's, and that one also raises your intelligence by 1. So you would, as well, with that choice, you would get a bonus to intelligence. But basically, there's a feature like that for every skill.
Yeah.
So if there's a skill you want to be especially good at, or if it's not checked off and you want it checked off, you can choose that as well. Of course, there's.
This is difficult.
I know,
there's
so many options. This is why people end up with multiple characters. There's another one that just lets you learn 3 skills. So you could just, anything that's not checked already, you could put a check mark and add +2 to 3 of them. Or it could be 3 skills or any tools. So like Smith's tools is blacksmith. You could be a blacksmith. You could, I think you have some already as far as tools are concerned. So you already have like alchemist supplies, but you could also, or any musical instruments as well. So it could be like, you learn how to play the piano, and you gain performance, and you gain persuasion. And that would be your 3 bonuses, basically. There's even more. James mentioned telekinetic. I'm not sure what that does. There is...
Telepathic's probably the better one. Intelligence up by 1. Proficiency gain in 1. Deception, insight, intimidation, or persuasion. And you can communicate telepathically with any creature within 30 feet of you.
She can already kind of do that with message, though.
Yeah.
Oh, message? Okay, yeah, I wasn't
message.
sure she had that.
So there is additionally the option of multi-classing. Gaining this level required you to go in and murder someone, so you could take like a level in Rogue and get some Rogue class features as well.
What's a rogue like?
So rogues are sneaky. In this case, you're headed towards like an assassin situation. Basically, they get some extra damage if you meet a specific criteria. It's called sneak attack. So basically, if you have some sort of advantage on someone, like you're hidden from them, and you attack from a place you can't see, or they can't see, or for instance, you're invisible. If you're attacking someone while invisible, you have advantage on the attack roll, which gives you sneak attack, so your weapon attacks would deal more damage. Additionally, if you take more levels in Rogue, you become basically an assassin, you know? Multiclassing is very complex, and I don't recommend people's first characters be a multiclass, because the options for a single class, as you can see, are way too many already. But as far as like what you did to achieve this level is you murdered a dude. So there's options there. I'm looking through some of the other ones.
Wow.
There's some other features that you might want to look over if you really get into this game to the depth that these other fucking nerds are. But as far as like the ones that I would recommend out of the gate, I've kind of gone over them already. There's other kind of more niche,
what do you guys think?
Niche options. Yeah. Morgan, James, help.
Any idea? Help me.
You what?
What's
She's
your
like, what
intelligence at?
17.
Isn't it?
My intelligence is 3.
So 17 is what she's got.
I was like,
Remember,
all your spells minus 5.
The roll 20 thing flips the modifier on the score.
What about the dual? What is it? Dual casting? I think it's in the.
Dual casting?
Yeah, it's in one of Matt Mercer's books. I don't know. Connor has been talking about it a lot recently.
Dual casting. I have an optional thing where you could concentrate on multiple concentration spells, but that comes at 18th level. So I wouldn't give that to a lower level character. If that's what it does. I can't remember.
Intelligence by 1, Dex by 1 might be useful.
True. But again, many of the optional features add +1 to intelligence.
Intelligence 1, yeah.
So it depends on whether she wants one of those extra bonuses.
How about you make the list of the ones you mentioned that were good, and she has a week.
Yeah, I guess we could do that. You want some time? Do you think that time will help you, Lindsay?
Possibly, yeah.
Okay. I will.
There were a lot of good options.
I will
there.
message you those options later, and you can take a look at them.
Okay.
But for now, we'll go on with with everything else. So basically, you got some extra hit points because you leveled up. We just haven't picked your ability score yet.
You're more badass
I will
now.
message those options.
What is she? She's an Asmar?
Yes. So, where the fuck were we before all the rapist murdering happened? Tournament.
Reb was going to the tournament.
Reb and Elise, you head off for the tournament. We'll get to that in a moment. Remy, you head to Mary's church for your religious service that day. And Mary is frantically in kind of one of the back rooms of her chapel, rushing around and ordering people around. And it's a very chaotic scene, which has not happened since you've known her.
Mary, what's going on?
She sees you and points, and she like kind of gauges the room and sees that everybody has their task, and she kind of rushes over to you and says, come here, and she kind of rushes you off to a side room. Let me change the music here.
Dun, dun, dun. That's never good.
So she kind of rushes you off to the side, to a side room. And let me find this piece of my notes so I don't miss anything. She rushes you off to a side room and says, "Oh, Remy, I have so much to tell you. I don't even know where to start." And she starts kind of rubbing her temples and says, "Okay, so
somebody killed my husband."
So, well, she's actually single. Remember, this is something we've established.
Oh, that's right.
There's another priest that's always hitting on her. I can't remember his name. So Mary says, "I don't even know where to start," and she starts rubbing her temples. And she says, "Okay, so well, you know that the tournament is for funding the war, right? So." She says the tournament, the crown puts on a tournament anytime that there's going to be any like war expenditure because they have to reallocate wealth to places. But so the gate nobility, they're in the tournament. They're competing in the tournament, but they're also about to go into like an official civil war. And also the crown is at war with the Northerners, which is also about to become an official crusade. So the Crusaders are going off in even more force, and they will be crusading across the sea. And she kind of says, I don't even, there's so much. And she says, so back up. The Crusaders have retaken the forts on the coast, okay? We retook those in late summer.
Well, that's fantastic
and she says,
to hear.
Well, yes, but also now when the ice bridge reforms in the winter, the Grand Bishop is going to mount like an official crusade. So everybody's going to go off to war and cross the ice bridge and actually try to take territory. And so that's why the tournament's happening. But also the crusade is happening because there's like the Dragonborn, they found the Dragonborn and the elves, they found a prophecy. And everything's chaos, Remy, and she kind of is like shaking you through this whole process.
So what do we need to happen? What do we need to have happen?
We don't know what the prophecy is yet, so we don't know what it says, but the Grand Bishop is going to be mounting a war based on a prophecy we haven't even heard yet.
So we need to find out what the prophecy is.
Yes. Basically, yes. The elves know. The Eastern elves, the Austrian, they know. They found it somewhere, and the Dragonborn found it somewhere because they are sending out ambassadors for the first time in centuries. Normally they stick to themselves, but clearly this prophecy is a big enough deal that they're sending out ambassadors and things, and so just everything's chaos for me. And she shakes you again.
Do we have any leads, any ideas of what it could entail? Do we know anything about the prophecy at all?
Roll an investigation check.
Okie dokie.
So, let me cross things off in my notes. Yep, they...
Are the Dragonborn and the elves working together on this, or it's just simultaneously these things happening? I'm going to suggest Morgan ask that.
Ask what?
Whether the Dragonborn and the elves are working together in tandem.
Oh, okay, yeah, I can do that too. Investigation.
Yes,
good.
and so she continues kind of ranting, and she says, okay, so the army they don't want to go to war across the channel, because why would you, And so there's like naval skirmishes happening that the army doesn't even want to be a part of. They don't even really want to be doing this, but because it's a crusade and because the king, his religious man, and she kind of rolls his eyes, or her eyes, he's making the army go to war even though they don't want to. And what was your investigation check?
Natural 20.
Motherfucker.
So she says, well, as far as I can tell, or as far as we've gotten information, the elves found it somewhere in a cave carved into bone, and it seems to be like in some kind of ancient dragon burial site. So the bones of an ancient massive dragon the size of a mountain had this prophecy carved into it, and the elves found it, and then the Dragonborn confirmed it as legitimate prophecy, I guess. I don't think they're necessarily working together, because the ambassadors from Drakon have traveled here by themselves. But the elves are additionally, they know what this prophecy says, and they're not sharing it yet. And the ambassadors are in town, and they won't share it with anyone.
Have they given a reason as to why they won't share it, or they just not?
It's just prophecy. It's mysterious. They're worried that panic. What if it says something bad? What if the world's gonna end or something? And she just says, the dragons, they love prophecy. That's just one of their things. The elves too. They're all about oracles and things.
So, can I get in contact with one of these ambassadors?
Yeah, I guess. They're kind of up at the castle.
Can you get me in contact with one of them, Mary?
Maybe if you spend one of your favors.
I was gonna say, can I spend a favor for that?
Yeah, I think I can.
Yeah, that would be perfect. I can take a couple of friends, and see what I can gain about that, and maybe get us on equal playing grounds. We can come up with a plan that'll help put us in the right place on this whole thing. I'll make sure to pray to the light and gain guidance from them, and that Remy would know this. Morgan doesn't. Is the light a they? It?
It's it, I guess. Yeah, I guess I'd call it an it. It's like an entity. It's not like a It's not like a personified thing. It's definitely an it.
Okay, so she might say get to gain guidance from the light as well, something like that.
Okay. So as you're leaving, I checked your passive perception. As you're leaving, and Mary has basically confirmed that she'll try to get you like an audience, basically. You notice Ergan Andres. He's one of the conflagration guys, and he was the one that was kind of drunk all the time, smelled like alcohol, and he kind of got in your face during your witch trial, and like shrugged and said, "Yeah, I think she's fine." Like that guy. He's in the back of Mary's chapel, kind of leaning against a wall, and he kind of notices you notice him, and he quickly leaves. He didn't hear any of this conversation, so the conversation happened in the back, but he was just in the public side of the chapel, just kind of hanging out, and he just kind of leaves when you notice him.
What was his name again? I'm sorry.
Ergan Andres. I can put that in chat if you want.
Noted.
I think that's how you spell it. I can't remember. Something like that. Let me check my notes to see if that's all I got for you, Remy. For the tourney. Okay. Yeah. So, Reb, as you arrive, the tournament grounds are a few miles to the south. Kind of southeast a little bit. More south than east. Basically, it's a hillside that kind of wraps around, and there's a large field that's about 400 feet by 400 feet. And there, in the field where the battle is basically going to be taking place, is kind of a mixture of tall grass, shorter grass, and dirt. At the moment, there's no rain because we rolled when Echo did it, so the dirt is not like a mud field. But there is basically a field that I have mapped out. And up on the hillside are kind of a bunch of tents, and then on the other side of the field, kind of at the same level, are wooden stands, basically, that have been built for the peasants. And then there are tents for all the nobles. And as you're kind of walking through, there's a sign up area where you sign up. You're signing up to fight in one of the categories, so you pay 50 gold, and they want a name, basically, and what to call you, what to announce you as.
That's the one in the chat.
Okay. So you write down any title with that. I mean, with other people, Lord, Sir. You don't have an official title, so it's kind of up to you. You could lie.
Just that very vague, ominous.
And your squire. This is Elise.
Elise, what do you want to be known as for the squire? Release.
Does
If you go with release, I'm giving James inspiration. Puns. Did Morgan answer?
But does Reb think that it would be a good idea to go under aliases rather than using our real name?
Well, so Reb is going under an alias because he doesn't want to be connected to Remy. The thing is, like, you two are not well known around the city. They might recognize Reb based on the armor, but her name doesn't really mean anything. And Elise definitely doesn't mean anything because you're not from here. So you're not in any official records. There's nothing tying your name to the Westwood other than your presence there. So Elise is kind of like, it probably doesn't matter.
Fuck it, Badger. Have an inspiration. I'll go with release.
Okay. Yes.
You get a D6, James. I guess we can go to, I don't know, what should tournament music be? What's this? Tournament music.
I just got notes in the chat. Just for all that.
Where are you? I like this one. Okay. Go to my notes again. So, Reb and Elise, just roll a perception check.
$19.
And Elise?
I'm going.
Go.
Roll the butter and see what happens. Can I get another inspiration?
No. What'd you roll?
17 plus what am I rolling? Insight? Perception. For release.
For release.
Oh, plus 5, so 20. What? 20.
Okay, so you both see out front of each tent, there's a banner that basically denotes which lord or which group of lords is in each tent. And you see various horses being saddled, armor being put on, weapons being fine-tuned. And you see the kind of central tent is obviously the king's tent. There's a throne placed out front. The Grand Bishop is sitting next to him, although there's no other order present. And beside the king are banners that you actually don't recognize, and you think that they're valued guests of the tournament. One is definitely Aldnari in make and seems to be nautical themed, and there's a bunch of Aldnari elves and half-elves seated around that tent. There's also another tent that is seems to be Eastern in design, specifically the Austrian elves, so high elves. But it seems to be a mercenary band, maybe. And there are pole arms worked into the design of their banner. And you see various elvish mercenaries armored as if they're going to basically compete. But it seems like the central figure, maybe the leader of the mercenary band, is sitting kind of in an elevated position. Not quite a throne, but kind of in a heightened chair to be able to see better. And he's unarmored, though he does have a sword on his waist. And around him seem to be seated like maybe his advisors. There's also another company of mercenaries, but this one seems to be dwarvish in nature. They're also from the east, from Sudrar province, which is basically a territory of the elves. They've basically invaded and taken it over. But there's a mercenary company. They're all kind of clad in golden armor, very polished. And it's probably not gold because gold is very soft, but it's golden in color. Some of them seem to be competing as well, but again, the upper level mercenaries are not. They seem to be sitting around a table, drinking, feasting, and just unarmored but armed, probably. There is another band of dwarvish mercenaries. Hold on. No. The group of golden armored dwarves, their banner seems to be something that is kind of related to banking, because there's a vault-like quality to their banner. So you think that maybe they're mercenaries that work for a banking guild or something like that, which is a common kind of thing. But like for real-world context, like the Templars, they're a banking guild that also have basically a religious mercenary company of knights. Templars, is that right?
The Knights of Templar?
Yeah, the Knights of Templar are basically a bank.
It's called Masons now.
Yeah, so it's just basically a bank that has a religious military organization underneath it. Additionally, seated in one of these VIP sections is Dagon and his cavalrymen. They're the only, so it's a kind of a smaller group of fighters. You know, you met all of them. There's just like a handful of them, but they're seated in a place of honor as well, kind of next to the king. These groups are not kind of interacting necessarily. The dwarves probably are. They're probably interspersed a little bit, but nobody seems to be directly interacting with the king. But as far as you can see, you could just walk up to these places and talk to any of these people if you really wanted to. They probably have guards on like the upper level individuals, but as a tournament like competitor, you could probably walk up to most of these people and just talk to them. The king, maybe not so much, but so other than that, you just see a lot of lords that are Vestron lords. But as Mary mentioned to Remy, the Gate Point lords are here as well. You've met some of them. Oh, I forgot to mention one of the Dwarvish companies. I'm sorry. It was the one that you recognized. So there's another Dwarvish company headed by the captain, if you remember that dwarf.
Yes.
So I'm not sure if Reb ever met the captain. Elise probably didn't, but Reb, I'm pretty sure you met the captain. So he seems to...
the captain one that like marches through the desert because we tried to steal the armor of the fool.
So you think that he runs a mercenary company. At the time, he was probably employed to protect this mining outfit, but he's been offered to fight in this tournament. They attend, but they're not. None of them are armored, so they're all just partying. And they don't seem to be competing, at least to start. So again, other than that, there's a bunch of Vestron lords. You see the Gate Point lords competing, and they have a tent as well. They're kind of off in a corner, quite a ways away. And there's a lot of guards out front, because again, there are skirmishes being fought at the moment. But they seem to be attending, and they've been getting, to an extent, given freedom to come and attend and compete. You see the lords are sitting out kind of in front of their their tent, well guarded, but armored up and riding horses. And again, they're probably all armored up because they're attending, but they're also kind of technically at war with these guys.
Justin, if I'm in front of the tent, how much space and how many possible foes are between me and the high bishop, whatever rank he is, the priest?
Quite a few.
Tagon, right?
Quite a few. So there's probably a rope, like a valet rope almost, that kind of keeps anyone that's not invited into this area away. And there's probably guards posted like every 10 feet. And these are like heavily armored guards. And additionally, there's probably guards around the foot of the throne. So, I mean, at a dash, taking attacks of opportunity, maybe anywhere between 4 and 12 attacks before you get to the bishop. Maybe a range of, for like a spell casting, say 120 feet.
Perfect.
So there is a short, before kind of the tournament begins, there is a short amount of time here where everybody's getting prepared. So if there's anyone you want to interact with immediately, you can do so now. Again, you know some of these people. You know some people from Gate. Additionally, Gendry is fucking off somewhere around here. He has.
I thought that dude was dead.
He doesn't have a lord, so he's gonna be kind of in the area where like the lower knights are that don't have a tent, basically can't afford the ground, which is where Reb would be setting up. There's probably a little area where there's no tents, and he'd be getting ready there with whatever shit.
Can I like sell him off as a retainer?
Yeah, I mean, you assume that if he's competing, he has a small chunk of gold. But again, if he doesn't, and he gets captured, you keep him until that debt is paid. So you can negotiate how to pay that debt. Legally, he has to stay.
I'll use him to pay my debt.
That could be. You could try that. Again, it's a negotiation. The tournaments are set up to move gold around, but it is based on the negotiation, but people to people. There's no kind of rule in there.
I just want to sell him.
Fair enough.
That's basically really what I want to do.
So yeah, if there's anybody you want to go and talk to, you could do so now. You're going to have many opportunities probably between now and the end of the tournament to talk to these people.
What are we making?
Water.
Ice cubes.
Water, yeah.
Lame. That kind of sucks because I'm incognito. But there's a lot of people I know.
And like, if you wanted to kind of gently hint to somebody you know that you're, hey, it's me, like, I'll let you do that. That's not, you can kind of, there's no role required. Reveal yourself without really revealing yourself to everyone, if you really wanted to.
I don't flash anybody?
No, unless you want to.
Yes. You said they're up on one of the higher tents, the god Dagon and his crew.
Yeah, so they're in one of they've obviously been invited. You could roll an insight check or a history check. Elise could as well if you wanted. History or insight.
Insight would be 24.
Yes, 24. So that's good enough. You don't have to roll, Elise. Reb, what you're kind of figuring out based on this is, so there's the king, kind of centrally located, high on the hill. There are upper level kind of nobility flanking him, and then up front, again, are these kind of tents that are foreigners, but they are basically like invited guests. So, and what you're figuring is they're also mercenaries. So you're figuring, because they're about to go to war, the king is treating them really well in hopes that they will join up. So come to our tournament.
Okay.
We're going to give you food and ale. We're going to give you a honored position here. You're going to get to mess around with some upper nobility. And hey, we're going to war here pretty soon. We'd be open to paying you a sum of money to come fight with us. So, the mercenary companies, that's kind of obvious. Like, they're mercenaries. They can be hired. The cavalrymen that you met, they're Stygian auxiliary, which means they are volunteers. So they fight with the Stygian military, but they are by nature volunteers. So they could basically take off at any point they wanted to. They just have to basically be discharged, basically. So that while they are military, they're not so tied in with the Stygian military that they couldn't come join up if they wanted to. Again, Engstag is kind of an ally with Vestran. They're just not fighting in the war. They're kind of taking a neutral stance at the moment. So you're thinking that they probably got invited in this kind of honored position to maybe incentivize them to kind of legally ditch Engstag and come join up. And the fact that they are the only ones that attended means that Dagon's company is probably pretty well known as maybe the best cavalry unit from Engstag.
So I'll kind of try and mosey on over there onto V's side where she's at.
Okay. So they're kind of just sitting around a table drinking. Some of them are drinking ale. Some of them are drinking water. I'll put out some minis here just so you know who's who. Engstag. We got Alan.
Where you at, though?
Boris. Dagon. And they are all sitting kind of around a circular table, so they're kind of all together. As far as Dagon is not in a position of power or anything really. And you even see their servant, the kind of huge man that's kind of wearing ill-fitting clothes. He's sitting with them even. And when you were at the tavern, you kind of got the idea that he was a servant, so that's kind of different and notable.
Oh, wasn't he the dwarvish one they're making fun of?
No, he's actually...
Or is that something else?
Yeah, he was, he's just a human, I believe.
Oh, no, I'm thinking of one of the lore, yeah. The Seven Saviors or whatever.
Yeah, Albric, I believe, was that?
Yeah.
Let me open up just so I make sure I got that right. Yeah, so Ludgar is actually a Goliath. So gray skin, pushing 8 feet tall, and he has long, blonde, kind of shaggy hair that's kind of awkwardly braided in places. And you see they have, their horses are being prepared, probably by Ludgar, but they're kind of corralled off to the side of their tent. Probably not. Would they be competing? I can't remember if they're competing in the first event, so I'm not sure if they'd be saddled or not. But they're around. Type in.
What's the first event? Archery?
So the first event is called the Review, and it's basically a free-for-all before anything starts. And the only people that compete are people that are trying to make a name for themselves. So it's basically it's called the Review, and it's basically people can kind of see the competition and see where they stand. But a lot of the upper level nobility don't compete. The king isn't going to ride out. If the king is competing in any of the categories, he's not going to ride out during the Review. That'd be ridiculous. So kind of the lower level nobility and people that are trying to prove themselves, up and coming squires and stuff, would be riding out to compete. It's basically an opening ceremony show. So I'm
gonna try talk to V. Just gotta be say anything hey.
So she kind of doesn't recognize you. She doesn't recognize you at first, but you, in some way, reveal who you are. And she says, "Oh, you're competing then, yeah? Ludgar, pull up a seat." And Ludger kind of grumbles and he walks off and brings you a seat and hands it to you instead of like putting it down for you. He just hands you like a seat and kind of nods. And you can sit down with them. Elise, would you like to do the same thing?
Where like I like straddle the back of the chair and just kind of like lean on the back.
Elise, do you want to?
Same thing I did at the.
Do you want to sit with them as well?
Yeah, I'll sit with them too.
Okay.
Kind of introduce. Have I met these people before?
Elise was not with the vampire hunter, so no.
I'll introduce myself to them then.
So they all introduce themselves as well. They're all fairly polite.
I'll tell V that I prefer to do these incognito.
She just kind of nods.
Just for reasons.
She says, "Well, what are you competing in then?"
Definitely the duel, perhaps.
So at that,
one of the melees.
you hear the Galian again. He's, kind of rugged-looking, long hair, scraggly beard, pushing 7 feet tall. He just kind of notices that and nods, as if to say, "See you out there, bitch."
Oh, I'm sorry. Perhaps the duel. There we go. Got to do the Batman voice again.
So yeah, he just kind of nods
all up
at
in
you.
the gear.
Victoria kind of points at their table. There's various food laid out here. Ale, wine, alcohol. Again, like Boris and Galian are probably drinking. Dagon is not competing today, so he'd be drinking. Victorica is drinking as well. She's not competing today. Alan would probably be drinking.
Can Elise drink, even though she's
Yeah, they wouldn't care. They'd slide, whatever you want over to you. These guys don't care. You're not sure if you sat at the king's table, he would be so kind. But these people, they're like soldiers. Like they're not lords. They're not even like Stygian citizens. That's the part of being part of the auxiliary and being cavalry means that they don't even have citizenship there yet. They basically come from out of the area and volunteer as a soldier so that they can be in the city, living there for part of the time.
I kind of joke a little bit at V, just like, hey, I didn't know you guys were this high up and well regarded. I mean,
she kind of just laughs and says, we're here for the competition. They're here to try to secure military assets. She says, we have no...
Very lavish,
She says, we have no illusions about why we've been given these amenities. They want our swords and our lances and nothing more. And she just kind of looks over at Dagon, who isn't really... He's not engaging in the conversation, really. He's just kind of eating and looking around and stuff.
Still known enough to be recruited to these lavish things. Just always better than being a nobody.
She kind of nods and she says, "I guess we don't come down this way. Well, to be honest, this is the first time we've been down this way, but
I seem to recall.
Alan's been around before. I think he worked in a church here once or something. I don't know."
What? Sorry, the Alan who looked upset in the alleyway.
Yeah, he kind of just looked like inconvenienced. Like he wasn't like, he didn't hate where he was, but he was just kind of like, whatever Dagon was doing, like walking around daydreaming, kind of annoyed him. He was like, I gotta go with you during this, but like, he didn't really understand why he was there or why they were there, basically.
I'm gonna ask, what kind of church was he involved in?
She just kind of points.
The church?
She just kind of points over at him. Let me look something up really quick. Roll a persuasion check.
Okay. $17.
He kind of laughs and says, "Well, at one time, maybe you could call me a monk. I spent some time in a monastery. I guess if you'd like to be married, I could marry you right now, but let's just say I haven't kept up on my scholarly work."
Which monastery would that be? Perhaps.
Roll another persuasion check. Let me see if I even decided that. I remember now. Yeah, okay. Persuasion check.
Sorry, hold on. $11.
He says, it's a little monastery. It's south of the Eastern Passage. I guess Westgate. Travel southeast for about a 2-day, and you'll find it. Small little stone monastery.
Would that be, for James to Justin? That would be east of Fordrum?
Let me just bring up the map and I'll actually just show you. So it would be. So like Westgate is like here, at the foot of the mountains. So he's talking maybe like a 2-day journey, like so about there.
Okay.
So from Westgate, travel 2 days up into the mountains to kind of the southeast, and you'd find it eventually.
Oh yeah, I had my directions mixed. Okay. And this doesn't sound familiar with any of the things I've read or heard about monasteries prior.
No, I mean it would be it's still a functioning monastery at the moment. So like you might have music changed because we went back to the Westwood. You could find this in like records. So like there might have been a time in the past when records pointed you in this direction. But as far as I remember, anything that we've covered hasn't really mentioned it. It's not a very important place.
I'll ask about just what deities or faiths, was it?
No, it was the light. Obviously, it kind of points around him, like that's what they do here.
Just kind of meant, just kind of not in a bad way. So if it's one, it could be for niche faiths in this area.
He kind of nods and says, "Yeah, the light, the order."
Any interesting stories from your time
says,
there?
I mean, I have many interesting stories, but not from there. How I got there? Interesting. Why I left? Interesting. The time spent there? Not so interesting. Though, I was able to get married as a result, so that kind of helped. Which is also an interesting story. But...
oh boy.
Becoming ordained, not interesting at all. Pretty boring, actually. At about this time, you hear a horn blare, and Boris and Galian say, "Oh fuck!" and they like start getting up, and you see them throwing saddles onto their horses, and clearly they're participating in this review. But nobody else gets up, and Ludger gets up to like assist them basically. So they head off. They start armoring up. You see them throwing weapons on. Would you want to pay any attention to that? Really?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, just roll a perception check. So you clearly see that they're armoring up horses with armor. Leather armor, I believe, in both their cases.
17.
So 17. Boris's horse is being armored in metal armor. I'm not sure if it's chainmail. Might be splint. But it's heavy armor. So clearly his horse is not supposed to be very maneuverable. I believe Galian's horse is actually leather armor. Oh no, his is heavy as well. So they're both heavily armored. And when they were traveling, they weren't armored up, but the armor they're placing on their horses is heavy. So clearly their horses are not going to be super maneuverable. At a 17, you notice that Galian arms himself with like a large hammer. When you saw...
So Galian is the huge
dude,
the
huge
right?
dude.
7 feet.
Yeah. And he's a human. No, he's a half-elf. So he's a half-elf pushing 7 feet. When you saw him in Verda, he was just carrying a quarterstaff. And the quarterstaff had holes in the top of it. And now it seems that he has fixed the head of a hammer onto this, so it's like a pole arm hammer combination. It has like a spike and a hammer and a spike on the top. Additionally, he has a long sword on his belt. He has a dagger kind of in a chest sheath, and then he has a buckler attached to his arm, which is interesting to you. It's attached to his off arm. Yeah, and it's a wooden buckler as well, and flat, and kind of it's of a design you've never really seen before. Small.
I'll take note of that.
And this is the guy that you're fighting as well. Additionally, he has javelins in a sheath on his horse for long distance. Boris, you see, takes a series of flails. I believe it's four. So he takes flails, which is like a handle, a chain, and a spiked ball. And normally these are one-handed weapons, and you usually use them in combination with a shield, and they're used to basically like wrap over shields and hit things. He puts 4 of them on his belt, which is fucking strange, because he doesn't have 4 arms. He additionally has a mace, which he also puts on his belt, and he has a large shield that he wears, like a proper shield. And at a 17, you also notice his stirrups have daggers attached to them. And so that's strange. So it's as if, like, riding past someone, there'd be a dagger in the mix that maybe could cut people. You know, a stirrup is kind of maybe chest height to waist height on a person. It would be gouging maybe the legs of horses that ride too closely next to them. But it's a short, maybe dagger-sized blade on the ends of his stirrups. Additionally, the stirrup seems to be bladed on the front as well, like on the curved section of the stirrup. So that's just strange. You've never seen that before. Very strange. Again, the fact that he has 4 flails in his belt is fucking strange. He's wearing scale mail. Galen is also wearing scale mail. And Ludger seems to be acting as their squire, because as they ride out for the review here in a moment, you see that Ludger grabs a bunch of javelins, 3 for each of them, and runs after them kind of towards the field. Basically, if their weapons break, he can provide them with a weapon. Is there anything you want to talk about as that's happening?
I'll kind of elbow Elise, be like, big guy, watch that. Do just like that. Be good.
Be good, okay.
So if there's nothing else you guys want to talk about, if you just want to watch from here, you can. You have a pretty good view of the field. So another horn is blared, and basically all of the lords, knights, and things, they kind of present themselves at this point, armored up. Some of them are on horseback, some of them aren't. Their banners are kind of held out, and they kind of just ride out in front of their tents. And basically horns are blaring, there's war cries that go off, banners are hoisted to basically present themselves. Another horn is sounded, and there's just basically a charge. So everyone that's going to be competing in this review charges in. A lot of the higher nobility don't. They just kind of head back to their tents or they watch. Roll a perception check, both of you. And of course, again, squires kind of head out near the battlefield, and some of them will actually venture into the battlefield to stick near their, knight or whatever. But others just kind of hang out on the outside.
16, and Morgan. Oh, nope, there she goes. There she goes.
Ooh, bun cake?
Yeah.
I missed it.
Oh, wait, here.
16.
16. So both of you see, again, it's just kind of a kit. So there's just a big charge of horses. Some people are just running out into the field without a horse.
Oh my god.
But there's like a big charge, and it very quickly just becomes a clusterfuck of horses that, they won't like charge into each other. They're smart, but they'll stop next to each other. So there's like fighting going on. Basically most of what you're seeing is the lower nobility, very young knights are competing. Anybody that like Reb, that isn't like knighted already is competing to try to make a name for themselves. You see Gendry head out there and just get lost in the chaos. A little bit late, Galen and Boris head off into the combat as well. But the thing you notice specifically, Reb, because you know these people, you see the gate point people. You see Hector, who is... hold on, let me find this in my notes really quickly. Where is it? Gate point, where are you at, though? Up here. There's that.
We're gonna know.
So there's this kind of awkward moment in the gate point ranks where you see Hector and Elijah. You met Elijah in the woods, I believe, Reb.
I think so.
Elijah is the younger lord. Hector is kind of the older brother. They ride up next to each other as they're watching. They're not competing. They're just kind of watching, and again, heavily guarded, because these are like, the kings of Gate Point are these guys and their father, basically. So they're heavily guarded at this point. They ride up next to each other, and you see this moment pass where they kind of look at each other, they smile, and there's some words shared between them, and they kind of nod at each other like they've agreed on something. Elijah kind of heads off a little ways just to get a better view, and then you see him purposefully rear up his horse and fall off, and so Elijah hits the dirt just next to their tent. The guards around Hector and everyone, all of course, their attention snaps to Elijah, and they rush over to help him. And at that point, Hector takes off towards the review, intending to like engage in this. So he takes off with a massive battle axe in hand, riding at full speed towards the review. You see Captain Broderick, who you met, who's kind of on his war council. Yeah, that's kind of hiding as a he's armored all the time, so nobody knows he's a half-orc. He immediately picks up on what's going. All of the other guards are duped, but Broderick knows immediately, and you see him call and snap, and he's calling to Kenneth and Sebastian, who you also met, who are cavalrymen, and they take off after Hector at a short gap, basically to try to not have Hector be killed in battle. As that's happening, you see the king stand up, and he starts yelling, and a bunch of higher level nobility pick up on what's happening, and they quickly jump onto horses. Some of them are not even in full armor. Some of them are not even, their horses aren't even saddled completely or fully armored. Higher level knights take off headed straight for Hector, clearly because the king has offered a bounty. You're close enough that you hear the bounty. 50,000 gold for anybody that can capture him. So you want to do anything. Hector is headed for the clusterfuck on horseback. 2 of his cavalrymen are charging after him, trying to corral him. And higher level knights are shortly behind that, are going to be headed out to try to basically claim him.
Who is Hector again?
Hector is a lord of Gate. He's like if there was to be a king, because basically there's a civil war happening, the territory that Gate owns, if there was to be a king, it would be Hector's father. Hector's father, I believe, is a duke. So basically, Hector's father rules Gate Point and any territory that they own. So Hector is like a marquess, I think. So he's a lord, he's a Vestran noble, and his father would be king. And when his father dies, he would become king of Gate Point, basically. Or Duke of Gate Point, in this case. So basically,
I'm sorry. What is Elise? Is she the summoner?
summoner?
Sorcerer?
Sorcerer, yeah.
Or is
Yeah,
she
sorcerer.
the?
She's the sorcerer.
Elise's
Does
source.
she have message?
Maybe.
Yes.
Sweet.
Why?
I'll kind of lean in and say, tell him that they're onto him, after him, and get the fuck out.
Hector?
Yes.
What's the range on message? 500 feet?
Something
No,
like
I
that,
don't think
yeah.
it's that. I think it's like 360. Let me check.
360 is such a weird number. I really
120.
doubt it's that.
You're well out of range. The field itself is 400 feet. So you would have to cross upwards of 400 feet before you could message him. Does that change plans at all?
Yeah.
Wait.
Right about now, Odge would be doing something to fuck this up, I bet.
Yeah.
Likely.
Somehow he would wind up being killed in Hector's place.
He would get captured.
It's like, I'm
For no
going
bounty,
to
just because-
drink a potion, look exactly like Hector, and walk up to the king. And, like, he just gets beheaded on the spot. Like, he's like, I'll get the 50,000 gold reward. I'm Hector. I turned myself in.
I don't think that's how that works.
So are
He's
we
gonna watch
we're
this
on
and
the
be like,
exact
what the fuck?
opposite side of the
Yeah,
field?
so you're basically 450 feet away from him, let's say. You kind of have to head down the hillside and across, upwards of 400, 300 feet to get to get to him, basically. Get to his feet.
I'm gonna hop down and start running over more to kind of see what the hell happens.
Okay. So you can be closing in at a dash if you like.
Yeah.
So what
Yeah.
I'm making it look though like I'm heading in like, oh hell yeah,
Sure.
50,000, yeah. I'm more concerned about what the gate people are doing.
So what you see is Elijah is helped up off the ground and back onto his horse. Some of the guards catch on that was a ruse. They see that Hector is headed off. They send a bunch of knights after him. Hector hits basically the battle, and you see him just rending people with the great axe, and he kind of just disappears in the chaos. You see Kenneth and Sebastian take off and kind of enter the chaos right where he entered it and disappear as well. There's a moment of battle for about a minute. By this time, the noble lords have reached kind of the edge of the battlefield and are riding towards the clusterfuck. And about this time, you see that Kenneth and Sebastian have flanked Hector's horse and basically steered him out of the battle. And what you see is they ride back to the camp safely. The Vestran lords they don't have enough time to reach him, basically, and so when they see that, they as well turn around. Some of them decide to just enter the clusterfuck, because why not? They're already here. But a lot of them turn around and just head back, and the king kind of sits down, kind of defeated in that moment. And Hector is basically led back to the tent by Sebastian and Kenneth. The knights that ride out after him also just head back to the tent as well. But what you see is there's a trail of people knocked off their horses and leading their horse by hand, and then squires following them, and they follow Hector's path. And so he has knocked at least 6 people unconscious or off their horse during that time, and they're captured. You see them walk back to Hector's tent. Their horse, if they have a horse, is placed in the gate stables that have been, or basically a corral that's been opened up in that area. The knights or the lords themselves sit down around the gate tent at a table somewhere, and they're treated well. They're offered food, wine, drink, whatever, and their squires head off basically to start the negotiation process to get them freed. But as far as Hector's safety is concerned, he's corralled fairly quickly and brought back to his tent.
Alright, so I'll just head back over to the table because Reb/James misunderstood this whole thing as Let's go murder some fucking soldiers and get the fuck out back to gate.
Sure. As far as that's concerned, because Hector wasn't injured, nothing happened. Could have been much more serious if they had time to, like, get to him. But basically, any of the people that were already in the fight, Hector could just wipe the floor with them. And anybody that would fight on his level wouldn't have been prepared enough to get to him in time, basically. Especially because, again, they're placed on, like, the far side of the field as basically a fuck you. So, basically, they had to rush across 400 feet of battle to get to him. So, yeah, there was really no chance that they would get to him in time. Especially because what you do notice is Kenneth and Sebastian seem to be the best horsemen you've seen out there. And they corral Hector very quickly on horseback and get him to safety very quickly. So they seem to know what they're doing, as far as that's concerned. So the review continues for the rest of the day. Basically, there's fighting until the sun sets, basically. Various people have survived the entire fight, and just as the sun sets, they stop fighting. But there's a large variety of people captured. You see gold trading hands almost immediately. Some people wait till the end of the night because, again, you're treated quite well while you're captured. So they're bringing you food, and you're shooting the shit with whoever you're captured by. So there's, like, networking potential there, especially if you fought well. You know, they'll have a conversation like, hey, that was a pretty good fight, yeah, blah, blah, blah. So there's networking going on. People eventually pay off their bounties. Reb, what you do notice is there's a bounty paid for the horse. And there's also a bounty paid for the Lord. So you think that you capture the Lord and any of his equipment, and that's paid for as one bounty, but you're also paying a lesser bounty for the war horse involved. So if you think you get a really good horse, they pay a lot. If you get a shitty horse, probably just the cost of a war horse in the player's handbook.
Are war horses or horses in general mounts used in the duels?
Yeah, most of the people use war horses in some sort of armor.
Oh.
The lower lords would use riding horses because they're cheaper. But basically, a war horse is more expensive because you have to train a horse to charge at enemies. Like, that's not an easy thing to do. They have fight or flight instincts as well, survival instincts. So you have to train a horse from birth, basically, to be a war horse. So that's kind of what separates war horses, is you can get a war horse to charge into, enemy lines. Not foolproof. There's times where a war horse won't. But a riding horse will not, absolutely not, ride into like a battlefield formation or something. So a war horse, cost-wise, is 400 gold. Versus a riding horse is 75.
I needed a horse.
You don't. So there are also people fighting on foot.
Or not needed, but, good idea.
Sure. So a lot of the people are riding horse. In the duel, it's specified that you're fighting on foot.
Oh, no, that's what I asked.
So in the duel, it specifies you're fighting on foot.
Okay, then. I'm good.
The joust includes horses. I think that's the only category that includes a horse. Yeah. So the joust is the only thing that you need a horse for. Everything else is fought on foot, basically.
I thought you said the duel would also be like
no.
Two people, horse and then foot.
The review is like anything. People just charge at each other on foot, on horseback, whatever. But other than the review, the joust is the only thing you need a horse for. So if there's nobody else you want to talk to that first day, I think we'll end there for tonight and let everybody go to sleep.
What happened to Gendry?
Gendry, who wants Morgan? I'm gonna make you roll for Gendry. Roll. What's his level? 5th level.
5, 6.
Gendry. Roll a D100.
This is not real. I just wanted to see what happens. Versus what Morgan rolls.
Oh, that's not what I meant. I can't hear you, Morgan. You're muted. I see your mouth moving.
It's either a 1 or a 100.
What did you roll?
00 on the percentile and a 1 on the...
You rolled a 1. So, I'll just give you it. You see Gendry charge out onto the field. His horse is unarmored. As he's charging, you see a javelin is loosed and overshoots the person that they were aiming at. Hits Gendry's horse square in the eye. His horse flips forward and he's thrown into a knight who he basically lands across the horse of another knight. And Gendry kind of looks up at him. And the guy has like a lance, and he kind of just brings his shield down on top of Gendry's head and knocks him out cold. And he's just ragdolled across this guy's horse. And by the end of the night, you see he's off at the tent of a lower noble, kind of nursing a head wound from the shield because he can't afford a helmet. Captured immediately. You notice that his squire does not show up by the end of the night. So you think that Gendry did not have a pool of money to pay with, and he's probably going to be working that debt off in the future. As a man-at-arms, basically. If that lord goes to war, Gendry's fighting with him, basically.
I really hope Connor gets to come play with us again sometime, and you force him to play that whole scenario out.
He has gotten much more ridiculous after Connor isn't playing him anymore. So, yeah, that's what happens. Anything else before the first day of tournament ends?
I have a thought for Remy.
Okay.
You have a bowl of rice.
I also have a bowl of stir fry that is absolutely delicious. Oh, fuck, I don't remember what it was.
Cool.
Nice.
What was it pertaining to?
It was pertaining to her interacting with the nobleman for the religious stuff.
Oh. Anything
I really
specific?
can't remember what I wanted her to do.
So during these next 2 weeks, you can again be shifting faction statuses with favors if you want. That's another option. I know you had something stored up. Oh, is that something? I never figured out Echo's religious service. I forgot that. So, Echo... One last thing. Religious service.
Where you at, though?
She's asleep. She fell asleep on it.
No, I'm not.
Blah, blah, blah. So you can roll one of the options, which is... What? Where is it? There it is. So it can either be a religion check or a persuasion check, whichever's better.
Religion.
Okay, natural 20. So you've earned...
Fuck yeah.
I think she rolled a natural 20 on one of the other rolls, too. It was her stealth check.
Yeah.
So where can I put this?
And then like a dirty 20 on another one.
So let's do... Where should I put favors? Let's do it here. I'm gonna call... Can I call this favors? Yeah, okay. 2 favors. You can hold up to 5. And basically what this means is angelic interference to help you in the future. If you have any suggestions for what that is, you can of course tell me, and I can basically decide if that happens. Otherwise, I'll in the moment decide if you ever need help with something, and there's a way an angel could help you. I'll decide that happens. But if you have any ideas, you feel free to share. 2 favors. So I'm giving over the next week. I'm going to give you a message with a big list of optional features. Reb. Somebody was close to a level up last time. Who was it? I think it was Aj, but he wasn't here and didn't do anything.
Me.
I think I prepared a level up for you, Reb, because you're... other than Aj, you were fairly close.
Sure, I'll take that.
Shouldn't be me. I just got level ups, right, for both characters?
So you're 7. I think that... Oh, no. Reb is... You're 8th level right now, right, Reb?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're not close to a level up. I lied. I did prepare a 9th level, it seems, but I don't know why. Okay, that's it.
What am I at?